she could wear those and do exercise, and that could be like the niche that she operates in.
Everybody's playing a numbers game. How do you not play a numbers game?
No, everyone is not playing a numbers game. What people are saying is,
oh my
by
God.
definition, yes, we just spoke about this before. We said
texting is an action, but messaging is a marketing strategy.
She pulled a pair of scissors, and I was just stood there like fucking.
How ironic! A pair of scissors.
What?
Dangerous lesbians coming at us with these scissors. I don't know what they're thinking.
I find you extremely attractive today. What would happen to my camera? Okay.
that was a dramatic zoom.
Like, boom, it's like, okay.
Do you consent? Yes. What do you mean? Yes. She's like, okay, I'm just checking. I don't think it's just going to happen or it's not going to happen. I think I have so much influence over whether this is going to happen or not happen.
I don't think you'll be worth
Put some janitor reels on.
Like yeah, janitor fucking reels.
Real quick, when I walk
Sorry,
I'll give Locario 20 seconds.
I get excited. Okay, I'm sorry about
cool.
that.
I'm loving the Christmas theme behind you, Dean. He's Mr. Romantic over here.
Right, all the red and all that. Yeah, it's always had it like.
I got my Christmas jumper on as well. My little
fucking loving it, boys. In the spirit. This will be the spirit of things. This one, won't it?
That's it.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the dating coach panel. I got some guys here, some more potentially joining in the next 10 minutes or whatever. I got Dean. Dean, where are you calling from?
From England, man, near London, in the UK. We got my little dog in the view here as well.
That doesn't look little. It looks like it's fucking huge.
I think its head's bigger than my entire midsection. So.
Alrighty, we got Sam Matheson again. Where are you calling in from, Sam?
Medellin, Colombia, my friend, in the promised land.
You trying to stay safe from all those scopolamine fucking scams?
Super safe, man. If you just take some every day, you build up a tolerance. Not kidding.
Oh God. Get that. Locario's back. Calling from Brooklyn. I don't need to ask. You're always in Brooklyn, it seems. Do you ever go anywhere?
No, I mean, yeah, I visit, but I always got to come back because every time I visit places, I'll be like, I miss New York. You know what I'm saying? So I was just in I was in Miami the other day. That was, I was doing my documentary out there. I went to Hawaii last year for the first time. That was tight. I was like, that's the only place I'll ever move to outside of New York is Hawaii. That joint was fire. So I love Hawaii.
Contrast there compared to New York. But what's your documentary thing about?
Yeah, so I got it's a sequel to my first documentary. So I have a documentary called Game Kings, the definition of the game. We came out with that 2 years ago. And then we came out with the new one called Game Kings 2, the definition of a man. And that came out, well, it's actually not officially out yet, but we had a screening in October in Miami. So we had a lot of people come out. We was checking out the documentary. So it's just about manhood, understanding yourself as a man, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So still.
Interesting. We're going to talk about that a little later, actually. And we got Marcus. Marcus, where are you calling from? Is that a weed plant behind you?
It is, bro. It is. Calling in here from Sydney.
Sydney. Yeah, we got 2 Australians here. Here we go. Alrighty, let's get straight to it. Sadly, I got to start with some bad news. Just recently, it was found that Jonathan O'Halloran, also known as Johnny Berba, ended his own life recently. He had been part of the seduction community for years. Did any of you guys know the guy or have anything to say about this?
I mean, I've seen his videos like a long time ago, but I haven't really heard from him in a while. But I've seen some of his stuff. But I mean, that's sad though that type of stuff actually happens. I know there was another guy a few years ago. I think it was Tom something.
Tom Torero.
Yeah, that committed suicide or something. Like, God damn. So yeah, it's sad that when that type of stuff happens, but that's why mental health is important, you know what I'm saying? Because things could go left real fast, you know what I'm saying?
Tom Torero was only less than just under 3 years ago. That was December 2021.
Right.
So this hasn't been that long since that kind of thing. But Any other comments on this?
Yeah, I mean, he was one of the nicest guys you could get in the game, and I never met him, but I saw his content, and he had good intentions, and he eventually moved over from dating advice to anxiety and depression coaching, which was a very noble thing to do. And I think sometimes the people who are the most troubled are motivated to help people in that same area. And, you know, it's just clear how, as much as he had the right advice and he was helping other people, you can get lost yourself if you're not careful. So I still haven't processed it myself. You know, I thought about it when I was in London on Sunday because I heard the news and I was like, you know, I got to take some time to think about that because he was close to home. He was a London dating coach, as I am. And yeah, man, same guy, Tom Torreira, he was London too, wasn't he? So it's it's a shock to the system for sure to hear that.
What I understand is that Tom Torreira was originally from Wales, but was based in London for, I don't know, some time. I didn't know Tom Torreira personally or John O'Halloran, but sad stuff for the community. Aisen, did you know anything about Johnny Berba?
I did not. But you know, I hear that he passed away, if I'm not mistaken.
I recently interviewed a McGill University professor who conducted a study on the pickup artist community. I'm seeing a lot of interest from guys wanting to know more about the scientific side of seduction. Is there anyone who comes to mind with a scientific background who would be good to involve in Game Global interviews or even panels?
Yeah, definitely. There's one that comes to mind that I interviewed that may not go for something like this, but his name's Mackin Murphy, if you know him. So I did a whole podcast on, and he kind of comes with a scientific background. He definitely would lean more, you would say, like blue pill than red pill, but he comes from obviously a scientific background. But he's someone that if you could ever get a contact with and you had a very good understanding of statistics and data and analysis through dating, through hypergamy, through cheating. I think he's doing his, I think it's a dissertation on cheating. So yeah, he's someone that you could definitely look into. And he's in Melbourne at the moment. He was on the Lewis House podcast. He was always on Chris Williamson as well. So he's very high profile now. So yeah, Mac and Murphy would be a good one to have on.
I think you mentioned that name before. I don't know.
Most likely, yeah.
It's probably you I heard that from. Any other comments on this?
What's he studying?
He's doing his like whole thesis on something about cheating, whether it was like infidelity and kind of trying to find kind of commonalities between cheaters.
All right. Anything exciting yet, or is he still in the process?
It should be coming out. Yeah, if you watch the podcast, okay. I think he might have had one or two things, but very along the lines of Dr. David M. Buss, kind of evolutionary psychology style.
Okay, very interesting. And what about you guys? What's your guys studying in pickup?
So the professor, McGill University, he is a professor for. His name is Dr. Robert Whitley, and he works in also some kind of psychiatry institute. I can't remember. Douglas Research Institute, something like that, based in Montreal, of course. And he did a study. I think the data was collected between 2017 and 2018, and then published in 2020. I forgot the name of it, but you can see the video on the channel, and it has all the links in there, including the first link, which is to the study itself. He takes a look from a mental health perspective, interestingly. That's what he specializes in, mental health for men. And he found that some guys who got into pickup, part of it was because of this necessity to come out of loneliness, basically. So there's a lot of mental health implication in terms of how some guys get into pickup in the first place. I know Sam shared before on maybe the first time you came on the panel, his situation when he Sam was willing to, I don't know how to really put this into words, but it wasn't a good time for you basically. So and then you saw a video of Owen Cook in a Real Social Dynamics video, and that kind of changed your mind and you got into that rabbit hole instead of going down a dark path, I suppose, if that's a fair way to put it. But yeah, it seems that a lot of guys get into this for mental health reasons, which kind of is relevant to what we were talking about a few minutes back about Johnny Berba. Sadly, there are a lot of guys with inner game issues, and not all of them get fixed over time. There are some guys who obsess with getting laid so much, and that becomes their like new mission in life. And the professor interestingly said masculinity and purpose are kind of tied together. I'm wording it in my own way. But essentially having a purpose in life as a man, that is kind of a reflection of your masculinity. So without purpose, is like having no masculinity, basically. And it really helps to have a purpose. But if your purpose is trying to get laid with as many women as possible, that doesn't really do anything for your mental health in terms of becoming better or solving your actual core issues. So yeah, mental health is like a whole different can of worms. You could just go so many ways with that, but sure is crazy. But the study is interesting.
Yeah, I may have a look at it. Yeah, he seems to be saying that there's like a underservicing of and support of men that are basically looking for it, and that PUA is basically an alternate space where men can go and find like community, and it can help mental health a little bit. I noticed this as well, actually. Like I've said this before, where game is probably one of the best therapies I know for young men, in the fact that it takes them to a place, depending on what community it is, but it usually takes them to a place where they start taking action. They have a group of men supporting them. You face a lot of your insecurities like head on, right? Like if you're sitting there in front of a girl, it's a pretty nice mirror to what you don't like about yourself, because you're probably going to hear it as soon as you get rejected. Like that self-talk is going to pop up. And so being able to actually like face that and go over it can be super powerful. The only problem is if you find yourself in the wrong type of community or you take the wrong path. And, you know, this is why I don't like the red pill spaces. I think a lot of them are just encouraging a lot of like self-loathing behavior, and a lot of it is just like external blame on women or circumstances. Whereas I feel like a lot of the old school pickup advice was like, hey, no, you need to actually get better, and this is how you do it. So yeah, there probably needs to be alternate spaces, but it is, I guess, a good thing for now that we do have things like game where men can come together and help each other out.
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. Go ahead.
And I was gonna say, I think a lot of it too is that there's too much. So you have guys who have issues, and they think getting a woman is gonna solve the issue, and that's always a problem, because what happens is that now it becomes this thing of validation where they're chasing the woman to try to get the woman to make them feel better about themselves. So, it's a thing where, yeah, you want, if you're you're attracted to women, you want to get women, you want to have sex, those are good things. But the issue is that when you're tying your sense of self or worth or well-being to getting the women, that's the problem. So I think a lot of guys, more have to understand about, loving themselves and understanding themselves outside of that, outside of, women, and not trying to connect it to women. So that's what happens a lot of times too. So then they're judging themselves and their sense of self-worth based on, oh, did I get a girl? Is she hot? Is this? And it becomes a whole nother thing. And then that continues them on that hamster wheel of, you know what I'm saying, feeling all messed up inside. So that's an issue right there.
Yeah. And every human being, when you get conditioned into figuring out what you want to do in the world, it's like if you're using pickup as a cope, as a distraction for the fact that you don't feel good in yourself, the hole will never be filled. So what happens is you build up this narcissistic pursuit to try and get gain and feeling of being loved from the approval from a woman, and you're not actually fixing the internal. And a lot of guys who are out there and they're looking at all these guys who are being successful women, or they weren't very confident at school, what happens is you're running the risk when you get into pickup, if you're not doing it from a self-development angle, build my confidence, build my social skills, do this because I'm pushing myself outside my comfort zone. If you're doing it from a place where you feel empty and you're looking for that void to be filled by the approval from a woman, it's never going to be enough, because validation is like a quick fix. It's like a sugar. It doesn't last long. So you're constantly chasing that. And the risk that you run, you know, even if you get good at pickup, it's like, it's never going to be enough. So you have to have a very healthy relationship with the action of putting yourself outside your comfort zone, working on your social skills, going for your ideal dating life. Because if you're doing it to fill a hole in your soul, you're running the risk of becoming even more disconnected from who you truly are. And when you talk about the pickup techniques and the false stories and fake it till you make it and tell a story for now that isn't actually relevant to your life, you know, when that psychologist who Ice White interviewed a couple of weeks ago, he talks about the authentic self. So if you're making up stories and you're putting on false displays of behavior, over time, you're becoming even more disconnected from who you truly are. You're not actually building your self-confidence and your self-worth. You're putting on a false front, you know, enhancing the ego. And in the long run, that ends in narcissistic collapse, and you end up feeling worse. Even though you've had all of these women, you've had all of this success, if you're not doing it from the right angle, you're not doing it from the right motivations, you run the risk of it making you becoming a very empty person. So what you said there, I fully agree with.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a balance here, right? The only problem I have, like with saying something like this, is this also being misinterpreted, because I feel like stepping away, or maybe even talking about mental health for a second, but stepping away from that when it comes to actually being good in game, you need to actually make changes. You need to improve who you are, and that needs to change. So I think the trouble with this advice sometimes is people just hear like, yes, I need to be my authentic self. I need to be who I am now. And then you get the guys just like not improving, right? So it's a nice balance that you kind of need to navigate between, which is, yeah, I do have some flaws. I do have some things that I need to correct, but that's okay, right? That's completely fine. I can still be an awesome person. And the me that I identify with, my authentic self, doesn't have to be linked to my profession. It doesn't have to be linked to me sitting at home doing nothing. It doesn't have to be linked with any of those behaviors. Those behaviors can change. They can get better. You can go out, speak louder. You can put on a smile, even if you're not feeling that great in the morning, if you're being socially calibrated and speaking to a girl in that moment. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying about making up a story that has nothing to do with you, telling a girl that you're rich if you're not. Like, these things are always the same idea. When people kind of tell you, hey, just wake up and, you know, look in the mirror and tell yourself like how amazing you are and how good looking you are. And like, no, if you're not good looking, don't look in the mirror and tell yourself that you're a 10, because all that's going to happen is your ego or your subconscious is just going to fire right back and be like, no, you're not. Right. So all that's happening is you're repeating your flaws. Like, I think it's important to stay realistic, but yeah, work towards who you want to be. And don't go too far that you're being completely delusional and trying to tell yourself that's complete bullshit. So yeah, I think there's a balance there.
A lot of these things tie into self-worth. And if you're trying to be someone you're not, eventually you're going to be depressed, because that's how I felt. And I have depression in my family. So talking about my mother, she was depressed when I was a little kid. And the reason for her depression was because we moved from country to country and we ended up being in the States, and she was doing something that she wasn't in alignment with. So she had all these accolades and degrees, and she was just working a very minimum job that didn't satisfy her. That's why she was depressed. And being, you know, this person that I am now, I realized that in the past, when I first learned about dating, it was only, you know, pickup, learning about how to talk to women, learning about these strategies and techniques to use. And I had to become someone else that I wasn't comfortable being. And that's what caused me to be depressed, because I wasn't myself. I wasn't my authentic self. And a lot of times, even some of my other coaches that I talk to, clients, they get depressed because they're not meeting their goals. Like Kashim said, like hitting their numbers, whatever, talking to the right amount of people, getting laid. You know, I talked to one guy. I was like, hey, why are you not happy right now? Oh, because I didn't get laid this month. Like, why does it matter? Because you've been with 50 women. That's enough for most people, you know, in their lifetime. Why do you care so much about getting laid? Right? I don't care about getting laid. If I don't get laid for a year, that's fine. You know, it doesn't define who you are as a person.
I'll tie that point in. That's such a beautiful point that I've been thinking about in the last few minutes between what Dean was saying, what Marcus was saying, and what Aisen was just saying now. Alignment, what I'm picking up from this, alignment and the end purpose of pickup. Like you guys are saying, effectively, some guys are in pickup just for the sake of pickup. Like similar to what Eisen was just saying. If your purpose in life in your mind is to make money, then it will never end. The pursuit of money will never end. I remember there's some kind of Bob Marley quote against about money. If you're chasing money, you'll never fucking see the end of it because there's an infinite amount. So where does it fucking end? But if your purpose of pickup isn't pickup itself, but you see the end purpose being the ability to form a relationship, aka having a girlfriend, and the fact that if you do break up, you'll be in a position of finding another one. It's a process that enables you to find your life partner, essentially. Maybe your purpose for pickup is to simply get married eventually and to have those experiences up leading up to that. But if you're in pickup only for the sake of pickup, only to have sex with as many women as possible, is there nothing beyond that? Is that your entire life? At that point, it becomes extremely not maybe not materialistic, but very artificial and arbitrary, and at a point where you're probably compensating for something you didn't have when you were younger or the lack of experience you had in the past, which can be fair enough. But my purpose, for example, and this ties right into the mental health stuff, actually, my current purpose in life that's on my mind all the time, pretty much, is my friend killed himself 9 years ago. And me and his mother set up a charity in 2016, months after his death. And this came to me in a dream, to tour all across Canada, east from west, and raise money and awareness for the depression charity. That once that's completed, like I'll have another life purpose, but essentially that's one of the life purposes that I have. I have my own family. I have a daughter, so that can count as like another life purpose, being a father, having children. But those are like very basic ways of putting it. But essentially that's how it is. My purpose was never let's get laid with as many women as possible. That's something you can do if you want, but making it your purpose in life, like you're fucking Charlie Sheen, if you want to make your life all about snorting cocaine and banging hookers, predict what's going to fucking happen, okay? It's not going to work out very nicely. That's all I can say. I'm not speaking from my experience. I have never done cocaine or hookers, but there you go. What the fuck am I talking about now? Anyway, let's move on. We got into like some dark shit right there, but let's take it somewhere more fun, more exciting. I think Marcus is gonna like this one. Have you ever gamed a lesbian?
Or even if you ever like what hooked up with a lesbian? Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily, but yes, that would count.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got I've got too many stories when it comes to this.
Let's do it. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, one that sticks out in my mind. By the way, I just want to premise this to give advice first, which is most guys, when they're speaking to a lesbian, right, or a girl that says they're lesbian, is they get way too excited, and the first thing they start asking is like, oh, is like they just assume, like they just have this fantasy that suddenly this girl's going to be really into them, and they're going to bring like another girl from the club, they're going to go home and have this amazing threesome. It's like, no, if this girl is actually lesbian, like she's asexual towards you, right? She's not attracted to you at all. This is like not an exciting girl to talk about. This isn't sexy. This girl finds you repulsive. All right, this is a girl sees you the same as your mate would. Okay, there's zero attraction there. So if you just have like a pure lesbian, this is probably like never gonna work, never gonna happen, and you might as well just like become friends with her because you can game together. And I've had lesbian friends like that where this is actually a really good wingman. Okay, like you're both after the same thing, you both have the same goal, like go out together. That being said, I've had a couple of funny occurrences where once I went gaming with girls seeing, and we found a lesbian and picked her up, but she was just so interested in my goal, it literally became like she was trying to like amog me in the end. So it became we're like in my bedroom, and it just became like really awkward. And then I've had an occurrence with a girl lesbian where we pulled there was me and my buddy, we pulled two girls. One was virgin, one was lesbian, and it was hilarious because they're in our bedroom, and basically the virgin is like trying to get practice on how to give a blowjob, so like she's asking that, and then the lesbian is like, look, I'm not attracted to you at all, but you seem like you really know what you're talking about, you're really good in bed, like can you just eat me out? I was like, what the fuck? So again, it's like a really awkward thing where I'm like eating this girl out, she's enjoying it but not attracted to me whatsoever, and then the guy I was like gaming with was teaching this girl how to give a blowjob. So, yeah, look, if you're gaming a lesbian, unless she's bi, in which case, well, it's all good. You're on. Like, it's a lot easier to make something happen there and pull a threesome and do whatever. If you're just with a lesbian, it sounds really fun, sounds like a nice fantasy, but at the end of the day, usually it just ends up awkward because this girl's never actually going to be attracted to you.
Yeah, I had two situations. One was a girl I met at a rooftop party, and she was like, we were talking, and I didn't know she was lesbian. Both situations, I didn't know they were lesbians until after the fact, after like talking to them for a while. But me and this girl were making out, and then like I tried to take her back, and she was like, "Oh, I can't do that, because I'm not really into guys like that, but I just like kissing you, whatever it is like that." And the girl that she was dating was there too, so they was just like, I guess they just do that or whatever. But the second girl that I ran into was on the train coming from some event. She was just there. We were talking, and I went to her house, and she told me she was a lesbian, but I didn't believe her. I was like, she got to be bisexual or something. So, but then when we got actually into it, I started to believe she was, because the sex was terrible. But so I kind of thought, yeah, she probably is, because it seems like she doesn't know what the hell she's doing. And then that was basically like the only two times that happened in my situations.
Oh man. Um I got a few fucking funny ones, but yeah, there was one I remember like writing this in a chat or something, but there was a woman who went like full fucking psycho on this guy after I came out of a restaurant. She was just like walking across the street with a suitcase, and it's somewhere in London near Hyde Park or something. This was fucking years ago. And she started having some kind of fight with a guy who had dinner with like my group, and it was like the most random thing. I can't even fucking remember what it was about, but I was like de-escalating the situation, and I was like, "Oh, what's in your suitcase? A purple dildo?" And she was like, "How the fuck did you know?" Like, I don't know if that was actually what was in there, but um, they started like getting really hissy with each other, and like she got super fucking aggressive and wanted to call the police or some shit on this guy. But I was like, okay, just fucking separate. And she was getting a taxi, and she gave me her number or something. And she was a lesbian. And then she invited me out like 1 or 2 weeks later or whatever, and she pulled me to her place, and she got naked, and she was like, "It's so hot, I'm just gonna go to bed." And she just like went to bed naked. I'm just like in her front room, which is connected to her bedroom, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then I go over there, and she invites me to the bed and everything, and there you go. And there was this one guy in the chat who was like, she wasn't really a lesbian, but technically, I don't fucking know. But there we go, fucking canceled. Um, yeah, you be the fucking judge, but she is a fucking lesbian. There's another one where I went on a date with this woman and went to some nice place, and she was like a school teacher or something. And I couldn't pull her on that first date. So I was surprised because I normally do pull on the first date. So I was like, I'm not doing this fast enough. There's something wrong here. And then on the second date, she admitted that she was a lesbian and never had an experience with a man before and was only coming out of lesbianism. I don't know how to fucking explain this shit, but this is so fucking random. So I was like, okay, how about next time you just show up at my house and you wear like high heels and lingerie underneath and don't say anything. We don't say any words to each other. You just turn up at my place and I open the door and I lead you upstairs and I'll take care of everything. She was like, okay, that would work. So that's my other lesbian story. That one was kind of funny though, because never would I have imagined that a woman would be like retiring from lesbianism. So I was like, that's so fucking random. But anyway, any other comments on this?
Yeah, I approached a girl once in a club, and she was actually with her girlfriend. So I kind of leant back, and they invited me to go and sit with them. We were having a bit of a vibe, a bit of a good time, and they invited me back to their house to have some more drinks with them after the club. And it started getting a little bit flirtatious, a little bit heated with the one that I was more attracted to. And yeah, obviously after several Jack Daniels and whatever, the girlfriend of the girl that I was interested in walked in on us kind of getting a bit more physical. So long story short, we're in the kitchen and she's pulling a pair of scissors on me. And yeah, man, it got a little bit crazy, but I practiced my frame control and calmed her down. And the girl I wanted sent her home, and then we ended up, yeah, having a pretty heavy night. But yeah, I think she was bisexual, but at that point in time, I thought she had a girlfriend, and it got a little bit intense at one point. Yeah,
especially
Jesus,
after
this
all
girl
that
tried
scissoring.
stabbing you?
yeah. Well, yeah, she pulled a pair of scissors, and I was just stood there like fucking.
How ironic! A pair of scissors.
What are you planning to do with that? I was like, shit, man. I was like, I'm in a position now. But she calmed down and she went home, and yeah, things happened.
Oh, that's fucking dangerous. These dangerous lesbians coming at us with these scissors. I don't know what they're thinking. Okay, let's move on. What the fuck? That question just came to me like 2 hours ago. I was like, I might as well fucking ask this. It's gonna be crazy. All right, next one. What is the thing that happened that taught you the lesson that you should escalate faster? Marcus actually had a debate recently with Eric Kohlberg, Mystery's wingman, on this, but conveniently Marcus is here to throw in some ideas there.
Yeah, the lesson, I mean, just feedback from girls, right? Like, don't get me wrong, when I started in a game, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. One of the things that I quite fondly remember is going on dinner dates with girls back in the day. And I never thought girls would want to have sex on the first night. Like I just dinner date and then I'd go home and I was completely fucking oblivious. And then one girl basically just told me like, hey, we should like continue this date. And in my head, I was like, what the fuck? Like, we just finished dinner. It was like 2 hour date or something. Like, what do you mean continue? And I was like, all right, I guess like we can go for a walk. And so like I take this girl and we like go for a walk down the harbor. And then I'm like, okay, well, yeah, it was nice meeting you. I'll message you. She's like, oh, we're ending it already? And I'm thinking like, well, this is gonna fucking want from me. I took her to dinner. I'm taking her for a walk. I was like, what the fuck? Like, no. And I was like, I didn't know what else to do. So I was like, okay, bye. And yeah, I got feedback off this girl later on. I ended up like seeing her for a while. And she's like, yeah, that first night, why didn't you just take me home? I was like, what do you mean take you home? And so yeah, I mean, obviously getting feedback of girls. I asked them, this is the one question I asked. So I'm like, at what point did you decide that you wanted to have sex with me? Okay. I've asked this to I don't know how many hundreds of women. And it's always super surprising. Like you'll have some girls that give you these concerns and objections and like stonewall, like a lot of that. And then they'll tell you like fucking like 30 minutes into knowing you. And I was like, what the fuck? And so I realized like, look, the biggest thing here is not that women don't want to have sex quickly, or not that I don't want to have sex with you, or, you know, you need to wait fucking 8 hours or some bullshit. It's just that they have a perception they're trying to protect. And a lot of the time, they don't want to look like a slut and they don't want to look easy. And it's as simple as that. If you can manage to get over these things, and obviously you need the fundamentals of actually being attractive and actually her wanting to have sex with you. But if you get over those, then yeah, you can have sex really early and women appreciate that. And otherwise, if you wait a very long time, you're just feeding into that slut shame. You're basically just telling them, like, yes, you should wait. Yes, this is what I expect of you. And it just ends up with, you know, shitty, long, friend zoney interactions. So yeah, from feedback from women, it just told me, don't waste time.
Yeah, I would say, you know, when I was younger, being super, super indirect, which is a waste of time, basically, because, you know, women, they already know if they want to sleep with you, basically. So basically all women want to get down. It just depends on the guy talking to them. So, you know, if I'm talking to a girl and she's like, oh, let's wait, I got to get to know you, right? She's going to meet another guy tomorrow and have sex with him in a bathroom somewhere somewhere just in 10 minutes. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's the same girl, two different guys. So depending upon the guy, if she's attracted to that guy, she's going to do it as quick as possible, when he wants to do it, how he wants to do it, and all that other good stuff. You see what I'm saying? So the problem with a lot of guys is that they think that women are different. Women are only different based on the guy they're talking to. You understand what I'm saying? But essentially all women are the same in the sense that any guy they're talking to that they're highly sexually interested in, they will have sex with that guy as soon as possible. So guys think that there's two different, I always say women are like Superman. You know, it's like Clark Kent and then Superman. It's the same person, but the situations are just different. You see what I'm saying? So that, because I actually have a story. There's a guy that I knew who used to throw parties. And this dude kept telling me about, like, I would see him, you know, around because I would go to different events or whatever. He was like, yo, I'm throwing this party. You should come through next week, blah, blah, blah. So when I saw him, I kept seeing him maybe a good few times within a 2-week span. And he kept telling me about this girl. He's like, yo, this girl I've been seeing, man, she's different than the others and blah, 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 you know, oh, she's a different type of girl, whatever. So next thing you know, I go to the party and he's telling me, yeah, she's not like one of these like hoes out here, you know, she's a good girl, you know, all that stupidness. So long story short, I go to the party. He introduces me to the girl. The girl he introduced me to was a girl I slept with on the first night like 2 or 3 months ago. You know what I'm saying? So now he says this girl told him that she don't get down like that. She likes to take it slow. It's the same girl, two different stories. That's basically what it is.
100%.
Yeah, man.
Any other comments?
I've had very similar lessons to that, where back in the day when Tinder first come out, and this chick invited me round to her house for the first date, and I hadn't fully started learning what game was about, so I couldn't read the signs at all. And we're talking and it's all going well, and she's sitting closer and closer next to me. And I'm sat there having a friendly conversation for about 2 hours, literally. And it gets to the point where she's like, okay, so I've probably only got about an hour, then I'm gonna have to leave. And I was so unattuned. The way I took that was a hint that she wanted me to leave. So I was like, okay, right, I'll finish this drink and then I'll leave. So I messaged her, you know, completely unbeknownst that she wanted to get down. And she was like, I didn't really understand what that was about. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, the fact that I invited you round to my house and I kept sitting closer to you and resting my arm on you, I thought it was abundantly obvious what I wanted you to do. And I was like, oh, right. You know, I figured it out. She wanted me to make a move on her and take her to the bedroom, which I didn't do because I wasn't recognizing the signs. And then I tried to make it up. She's like, oh, it's too late now. You know, it's too late. So I never saw that chick again. Some of the other lessons is literally I've been talking to a girl in a club, really attracted to her, like the heat is on. And because I've just neglected to pull the trigger, get physical, lead, go in for the kiss, you know, link arms, whatever it's going to be, I've gone to the toilet and some other guy's putting it on her more intensely and she's ended up going off with that guy. So you learn from the pain. And the way you got to look at it, if you're new to this and you're not comfortable with escalation, you might think that conversation is going good. But if you at some point very soon don't have the ability to just pull the trigger, get physical and go for it, the girl's going to get bored. You're either going to get friend zoned or if you're in a club, the types of girls that are going out to get laid, they're just going to move on to someone who's more confident. So I had a lot of hard lessons with that, and that's why I spent about a year when I was practicing the skill just completely working on my physical game, working on my escalation, where I got to a point where I could consistently tap a girl on the shoulder, not every single girl, but every single night I went out, and kiss a girl without even speaking to her. I done it last weekend. It's like, you got to work on the escalation game. You got to get comfortable with that, because that's a necessary part of building a connection with a woman.
I could see on the guys' faces of pretty much everyone on the panel a few minutes ago when you were saying about not picking up the signs. I think all of us have fucking been there. That's so fucking relatable. Oh man.
But that's the cut. That's the cut that hurts the most. You're like, oh man, I misread that to the fucking bullshit. That's the one that you can remember as you're telling it. I could see you're just like, you can even like relive it again. You're like, oh my God, how did I be so fucking stupid?
I think all of us were having fucking flashbacks a few minutes ago.
Because you know what it is?
Yeah.
It's a lot of it is conditioning from dealing with women who were never really that interested in you. So for example, if I talk to 3 or 4 girls in a row and all of them say something similar like, hey, I got to get to know you more. Hey, I like to take it slow. They're saying that to me because I'm not that guy for them. So in my mind, this is just how women are. You know what I'm saying? So I got to flow with them. I got to get them comfortable. But I just don't realize that I'm just interacting with women who aren't highly sexually attracted to me, because the ones who are not going to say that. They're just going to actually be way more assertive or trying to make it happen with you when you're trying to make it happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, facts. But I think a big thing for me, without the escalation aside, physical escalation, it was like mental escalation for me, which was a big one that I found that really changed a lot of things, was assuming attraction. So instead of just going into every interaction, just being like, oh, this is a pleasant thing. Yeah, I'm getting super excited about just talking to a girl, being like, no, like, of course she's attracted. Most girls are attracted. And just by a law of averages, I think coming into a lot of mindsets, maybe whether it's a nightclub, talking around the daytime, maybe on Tinder, maybe on Instagram, the law of averages, you're going to have more success just thinking, well, you know, the bare minimum of her talking to me, she must be attracted to me. And just by that, you start to exhibit signs that are attractive. It's kind of like a feedback loop where the guy's like, oh, maybe she's interested, maybe she's not. He's like low vibration, he's low confidence, exhibiting the signs. And then she starts to relay that back to him where she's not interested. So I kind of had this idea. I was like, okay, well, if I assume that she is attracted, I start to exhibit signs of like, I'm comfortable, I'm relaxed, I'm not trying to force anything or the pace of it. I'm really creating a really enjoyable environment, not only for me, but for her. Bang, that's where I saw a lot of attraction really go, and a lot of girls where it was easier for me to escalate, maybe physically, even verbally, because it was that I don't like the word not comfortable, but it is a really relaxed environment where, you know, you feel yourself. You're not trying to be this other character that you think she likes. You're actually just trying to exhibit yourself, you know, a good version of yourself, maybe not a shitty version of yourself. But yeah, that was a big thing for me, assuming attraction a lot of the time.
Yeah, there is an element of projection here as well. It's like when you're on a date with a woman that you're really attracted to, you think she's cut from a different cloth. So you play it safe, you know, and you pull out the big guns and the special lines. And it's like, we used to have a quote in our seminar, a section in our seminar I used to run. It's like, women want to fuck. And you've got to go into every single date and every single interaction with that as a mindset. You know, they're biological creatures like we are. You know, they might hide it more due to the anti-slut, the fet, or whatever you want to call it. But at the end, they might be more prudish. They might want to come across classy because they're attracted to you. Their defenses towards escalation and sexuality might be even further up, but that's not a bad thing. At the end of the day, you know, a woman is going on a date to flirt, to have sexual communication, to get physical. And if you're in this headspace where, oh, this one's particularly special, or, you know, it's like the self, the self can't afford to be in the way of the process. And at the end of the day, if you like her, the worst mistake you could make is hold back and try and play it safe and be extra tame, because the woman's going to put you in the friend zone. I truly believe that every single guy, the reason he gets put in the friend zone is his lack of ability to pull the trigger and just go for it. So I go on dates with some girls sometimes, and we might not have a compatibility, but I'm never put in the friend zone. I'm always a sexual being. I'm always forthcoming about how I want this date to go down. So, you've got to permit yourself to get physical, because the longer you leave it, the more you hesitate, the more you try and play the safe game. It's like it doesn't equate to what you think it's going to do. And I know it's difficult, especially if you haven't got the experience for some of the beginner guys, but you've got to get that escalation, that physicality, the skill with doing that. You've got to get that down. And it's going to take a little bit of blind faith and stepping in the unknown to just reach out and sometimes grab that girl's hand, stroke her hair, kiss her face, link arms, whatever that's going to be. Because if you don't do it, you're going to forever stay in the friend zone.
Absolutely.
To tell you
I
that
agree.
go ahead.
Sorry.
No, actually, I'll just.
I was gonna say, real quick, assuming attraction. I love what Sam said about that, and obviously, if she's on a date, like Dean said, she's attracted to you. There's a reason why she shaved her legs, right? Got a new dress, perhaps. Spend time to text you, call you, whatever. Go on this date. Set time aside for you. She doesn't want you to be a meeting, right? She doesn't want to get bored, and quite simply, if she's comfortable with you, then that escalates attraction. So in order for that to happen, you have to be comfortable with her. So expressing how you feel, sharing things with her to gain that trust. It doesn't take 6 dates to escalate. You can get the same level of comfortability on the first date. And that's what I learned from my sales background, is that so people buy from you whenever they trust you. You can sell the same product as someone else, but they're going to go with you because they can relate to you and trust you. And that's how, it goes.
To tie in Dean and Locario's comments, I'm thinking in terms of leadership, and like Locario was saying, conditioning. As men, we are conditioned to follow when we're younger. Like when we're kids, our parents feed us. Now, when we're adults, we need to feed ourselves. So there's a point in people's lives, especially in the intermission, but some people don't get this in terms of their dating lives, because there was never dating when you were a kid, unless you were very unlucky. But Ansel. But we're essentially conditioned to follow when we're children because the adults are in charge of the decisions. However, now that we are the adults, we need to be the ones doing the leading. And because we are the men, the women are looking to us to lead. So like Dean's example and many other examples we've been hearing under this question, a lot of women are just looking for us to make the move, but we're too dumb sometimes to see the signs, especially when you don't have that kind of experience. Like all of us were cringing when we were hearing that stuff about, oh, I didn't see the signs. She was talking to me for 2 hours and she was like, oh shit. I had that exact same fucking situation. And I can't remember who mentioned it. Maybe it was Locario or something. She went to the bathroom and then she went with some other guy who escalated faster. I had the same fucking situation. And those are the ways that I learned too. So that's kind of funny that it's so relatable to a lot of us. But ultimately, we need to realize that we are the ones who need to do the leading. I run a YouTube channel. I'm not waiting for other people to make videos. I need to make the videos. And if you have a career and you're taking orders from your boss, maybe your role doesn't have that much leadership, but you're depending on the leadership above you to know what to do. You need to snap out of that in these other aspects of life, especially dating, and understand that you are the one who needs to take the bull by the horns and milk the cow yourself. And I don't know what other kind of stupid metaphors I'm going to give, but I'll leave it there. Leadership is ultimately a highly important thing. Of course, leading too hard can be a problem, but not leading at all is the worst fucking thing you can do. Any other comments on this?
Yeah. The limit in mind, when you're on a date with a girl or you've just approached that girl and you know that you should be pulling the trigger, it's like the part of yourself that doesn't want to risk it because it's going well. You're on a date, you're having a nice conversation, you got some compatibility there. And it's like the limit in mind will tell you, if you get physical, you might ruin it because the conversation's pleasant, it's fluffy, it's nice. what you have to realize is if you don't get physical, or you don't escalate it in some sort of sexual way with your eye contact, with your energy, with your intention, that's going to fizzle out. And it's like, I remember being approaching a girl in a club long time ago, again, before I was a master. But yeah, I remember approaching a girl in a club, and I got a number, and we spent about an hour together. But I was backing off, and I wasn't escalating. I wasn't permitting myself to pull the trigger. She ended up going off with some other guy, and I was so frustrated about it. You're talking about like 12 years ago. I messaged her. I was like, if we were having such a good chat, if we were getting onto, well, why did you go off with that other guy? And she was like, I didn't think you were interested in me in the end. And this guy just come out of nowhere and just started kissing her straight away. So I've had so many hard lessons of how important it is to move into that physical dynamic that, you know, I'm never going to make that mistake again. It's like one of you guys said, you can see the frustration on my face. I remember these painful moments of when I lost so many girls I was interested in because I'm stood there like a rabbit in the headlights, not willing to permit myself to get physical. And it's like, you've got to permit yourself, like you said, you've got to take the lead. It's your responsibility as a man. The woman is not going to walk you into romance. The woman is not going to walk you into a sexual dynamic. You've got to permit yourself to do it and have blind faith that when you pull that trigger, it's going to work out okay.
Yeah, that's true. And also on a date, that it automatically 100% means that she's interested. And sometimes women will use you for attention, for an ego boost. They'll use you for money, for dates, and all these other things. So this is why it's important to see, is this woman that I'm sexually attracted to, right? And if you know you're sexually attracted to her, is she also sexually attracted to me? Do you see what I'm saying? And so this is why you have to be able to interact with her and flirt, build sexual tension, do those things immediately so you don't end up wasting time. So what a lot of guys will do is they'll go on a date with a girl like 2, 3, 4, 5 dates, only to find out later she says, oh, you know, you seem cool, I just don't feel a connection, and now, you know, it goes nowhere. So what I usually do is when I'm talking to women, it's the sexual talk and interactions happen immediately. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's I meet the woman in person, like on a street, at the bar, club, or even online. So my online dating profile is sexual, because what I want to know is this woman sexually interested? Because if she's not, I don't want to waste any time with her. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm not here to be your friend. You feel what I'm saying? If I'm interacting with you and I'm vetting you and seeing what's going on, I'm seeing, is this a girl that I will have this sexual relationship with? And if that's not the case, then she doesn't need to be there. So what I try to teach guys is that you have to, as soon as possible, make the interaction between you and the woman sexual so that she'll show her hand. So a lot of guys don't know how to let a woman show their hand, and then therefore they end up wasting a lot of time with a woman who was never actually interested in them sexually in the first place, which is unfortunate. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Any other comments before we move on? All right, let's go. What are some of your night game openers? Feel free to just like list a bunch of your openers or add some context. Let's give people ideas.
All right, who wants to go first? It's weird. I don't even. It's so funny because for those that don't know, I'm not like a pickup artist. You know what I'm saying? I'm a dating coach. I teach games, so I don't really like have openers. Like I have things that I tell guys to do that's on like or behind the paywall. But but basically all I really do is just the simplest thing that I do is when I see a woman, right? I'm just saying, what's up? Hey, how you doing? And then I immediately go into something sexual. Like I might say, yo, what's up? How you doing? I'll be like, you look sexy in them jeans, because I want to make the conversation sexual as soon as possible, because I want to see her reaction to me immediately flirting and trying to be sexual with her. So I limit very platonic talk like out of the situation. So that's what I would basically do.
Yeah, I agree. You got to be assertive in the beginning. I mean, I just tell my people to express how they feel towards a person. So usually I would say, I find you extremely attractive today. What would happen to my camera? Okay.
that was a dramatic zoom.
Like boom, boom. It's like, okay.
What the fuck?
So I'm talking now. Spotlight. It's like, yeah, I find you very attractive today. Wanted to come and say hi. And then depends on what she's saying, I can gauge her interest in me.
Right.
And then I can proceed, or I can leave as is.
That was intense, especially with that zoom in. Like, what the fuck?
That was magic.
I see it just fucking risk the fucking webcam there. Even the webcam got wet.
Oh shit!
That's the opener. You get really close to her face really quickly, like a zoom. Yeah. Yo, I'd try it out. No, I got this one from like as funny as this is, the YouTube pickup dudes that do the cameras on the campuses. There's one shout out to Jack Denmo for that. He literally like points at the girl and whatever she's wearing, and that can work in the nightclub as well. Like blue jeans, yellow top, black glasses, and you find if you get a bit more of a quieter place, it can really, really work. Again, at the end of the day, the best opener that you'll ever have in your entire life is how's your night going? Because the thing is, it really ain't about what you're saying at the first moment. You can come up with the wittiest, most craziest line, the best line ever, or you can just get on with the conversation where the actual action happens. It's like the only 100%, like the best opener is her responding to you in hopefully a positive way. The worst opener is like literally getting blanked, right? So anything that just starts it, it's kind of like on Tinder or Bumble, it's kind of the same thing. If she responds, perfect. That's it. That's like your first thing. And then the magic can happen from there. That's where you got to get a little bit creative. I guess a couple of other ones that I can remember. Just like an inquisitive or making a laugh, like, is that you, Jenny? Oh no, sorry, wrong. Like, and but you're in there. Just make some shit up, right? It's kind of like improv. You want to get good at that, like learn some improv, you get really good at openers. Because you'd be like, grandma, it boom, opens the conversation. It's not really about that. So that's what I really rock with. And it's also fun for me because you can only say the same opener 52 times in a night before you get fucking bored. So make some fun with it. Have some fun.
Right.
Yeah, I think this is why it's so difficult to give people a pickup line because, a lot of guys that get into the game, they want to know, what's the line? What's the best line? And the truth is, it's all about alignment and it all depends on your state. So ideally, you're in a peak state and you're all positive and you're upbeat, so you can just say whatever you want. The go-to opener that I would use if I'm just warming up or if I'm just getting into the flow is, thought you were cute, I wanted to say hi. But as the night goes on or as the day goes on, I start getting more in state. It's like, it really is sub-communication. And like the guy before said, it's like you can tap a girl on the shoulder and say hi. I mean, a lot of the time when I'm talking to girls and I'm in a club and I'm in a peak state, I'll tap them on the shoulder. I'll just literally do a love heart. So if I had to break down what I'm doing and the reason why it's working, I would say it was you're combining humor and playfulness with flirtation. So I might say, excuse me, I think I just fell in love. I saw you over there and I'm looking for a future wife. So it naturally comes out. I'm not quantifying or thinking too much about what I'm saying. I'm allowing that playful state and that joyous energy inside me, combined with the fact that I find her attractive, to dictate and determine what is the opener. And the subconscious is a lot more fluent and a lot more reliable than you think. And my argument would be it's not so much about planning what you're going to say when you go out to see a woman. It's about getting yourself in a playful state, having a great time, and expressing your inspiration or your desire to get to know that girl, combined with humor. And that's how you break the ice. Because if you're going in a playful way, excuse me, I think I do love you. All right, darling, where have you been all my life? I'll do stuff like that. And I'm not saying that in the same humor and charisma that I would when I'm on a night out. But the reason it works is because if you're showing that playful side of yourself, you're showing that you're not taking yourself too seriously. You've heard of the icebreaker. It breaks the ice because you're communicating to the woman that if she engages with a conversation with you, it's not too logical, it's not too serious. Therefore, she's not going to get pulled into an awkward interaction. If you permit yourself to be playful, the mirror neurons in her brain are going to see that you don't care, you're not looking for approval, and that's going to allow her to indulge in the conversation and play back. So that's kind of how I run my game when I'm out and about. It's not logical, it's not systematic, it's just complete expression because of the mood I'm in. And yeah, combine humor, combine playfulness with flirtation, like tell her that you think she's hot, and you're good to go. That's how you get into a conversation. with a flirtatious dynamic.
Cool. Probably going to disagree with most of you. I think the subcoms are super important. Don't get me wrong. I think you could take, you could give me probably 10 lines that were different ranges of what you think was good or bad. And you get students to go out there, and as long as they have really good charisma, really good subcoms, they could probably pull it off, right? I agree with that. I think that's much more important. But I think when we're talking about like optimal openers, I think what you say does really matter and can change the dynamic of the interaction. So, for instance, I think we should be looking at the girl and seeing, okay, what opener do we think is going to work best for her? So if you're a really good looking guy and the girl's already like smiling, looking you up and down, then yeah, going direct gives you like confidence points, right? So if you're going to go indirect or direct, going direct, the girl's at least going to think, okay, for the guy to go here and tell me like, I'm hot, I'm good looking, whatever it might be, that requires some balls, all right? So this guy, he's confident, right? He's probably good with women. So you get some points there. Now, the problem is if you're not that good looking, confidence isn't enough to build attraction. If you're an average looking dude and this girl's at 10, just being confident's not enough. Like if that's all she sees and now you make her make a decision, like I think you're super sexy and she has to be like yes or no, you're kind of screwed there. So I think you need to look at the girl, like, do I think she's going to find me attractive just by my looks and confidence? Is that enough? Yes or no? And then if you are going to go direct, I'd say something that says something about yourself. So instead of just saying like, for me, you're sexy or you're cute, I'd rather say like, you're very feminine, because that probably says that I'm a masculine guy. You could say, I really like your fashion and point out what it is, because then it at least says you have a good fashion sense. So I think you can pick out something about the girl that shows a level of understanding there or shows something about yourself. If you're going to go indirect, I usually try to pick a frame here. So I would go up and say something like, hey, I got to be honest, all of you guys look so fucking friendly. Because even if a couple of those girls are like, thank you or yes, it's commitment and consistency bias, even at the smallest level, because now it's like, hey, we have to act friendly, right? Then if you have a goal that's maybe a little bit of an attention seeker, a bit of attitude, I like to do like a security guard open, right? So I like to strip that validation. I'll go over and say like, listen, you can't dance here, right? Move. Right? Hey, you're in the way. You can't stand here. And now immediately, again, it's fitting into the girl's archetype, essentially. Lastly, what I'll say is for a girl that's like super attractive, where most guys will probably think, I don't think any opener is going to fucking work here. And not just a function of attractiveness, but a function of this girl's used to getting attention and she is used to rejecting guys. So usually if you see the really hot girl at the club and she gets open like 5 times in a matter of like 30 minutes and she's telling everyone to fuck off, all of these opens probably aren't going to work, even if you do it in a really amazing, charismatic way. I would go super indirect here. I would usually go up and be like, hey, just real quick, 1 second. I'm like, I just have to say, you and your friend here are the cutest couple in this whole club. Like, holy shit, this is like really romantic. Because the girls were probably going to say that anyway, right? How many times have you guys seen students or you self go up to like these really hot girls that are used to getting a lot of attention and they're like, this is my girlfriend. So I preempt that shit. I go and say, you guys are an amazing couple. And every single time you get a good response, because they're fucking trolling you at this point. They're like, haha, yes, we've been together for, 2 years, haha. And they think they're just fucking trolling you. And then I'll continue that little role play for a little bit. And I'll just tell them like, look, I'm fucking with you guys. I know you aren't together. And now I'm already in the set. I've built some compliance here and you're good to go. If you want to be a little bit more edgy, and I usually look at one of them and say like, listen, you can do a lot better than your friend here. And at least that creates a little bit more of a true validation. But yeah, I think it's important to, at the beginning, as everyone said, focus on the subcoms and just how you're saying it. But then at some point, like we need to be a little bit more optimal, I think, and figure out what opener is going to work best on the goal and then apply that opener.
So see, I see what you're saying as far as there are certain things like what you say can matter in a sense based on getting someone's attention. So, you know, I can say one thing or another thing, and this other thing might get more attention than that thing. But what I disagree with though is I'm totally against doing things and tailoring it to the woman. And the reason why is because then I feel like it gets into a point where it's like you're kind of it's like you're dancing around to try to get her. You know what I'm saying? Whereas I'm not trying to get the woman has to try to get me. So I'm not trying to like do it for her. You understand what I'm saying? Because you were saying, you know, what if the girl's a 10? I'm like, well, what's a 10 though? You know what I'm saying? Like that's subjective. You know what I mean? Like your 10 might be my 5 and vice versa. You see what I'm saying? So how do I?
So when I say 10, I'm talking about somewhat of it's subjective, but what I think she thinks she is. So you might have a girl that's a 7, right? Let's say looks wise, that most people would say she's, average attractiveness. But if you see her rejecting everyone in the club and she's walking around with fucking attitude and she's got like a group of girls walking behind her, that girl thinks she's a 10 and she's probably going to try to reject most guys. You might have a girl that's like really incredibly hot, and some of these girls are so sweet. Like you go up to a group set and you're like, you're the hottest girl here. Why are you the one that's so friendly and receptive? So when I say like best guess here, I'm usually basing it on like how I think this girl perceives herself. And do I think she's going to basically reject a direct opener here is what I'm thinking.
The reason I disagree with that is because we're talking about emotional contagion. And in a way, we've got all these perceptions about how we are in our status and our value in the club compared to how the super hot girl is, but that's a projection. And when you go up to a girl, you're a blank slate. You could say, oh, if you're not dressed well and you haven't got good fashion, but in reality, the way that you present yourself and the way that you hold yourself, that's what the woman's looking at. When we talk about sub-communications, it's not about holding strong body language and deliberately making eye contact. It's about being in such a peak state that the whole way that you hold yourself is automatically conveying high status. I've gone up to girls before recently, said, excuse me, you're so hot, I just pissed my pants. And this girl was smoking hot, and tapped a girl on the shoulder and started singing Lady in Red. Now, the reason that works, why does that work? We know why that works, because if I say you're so hot, I just pissed my pants, I'm not putting on a front. I'm not putting on an act. I'm not conceptualizing what I'm doing. I'm saying the funniest thing that's entertaining me, and that's indicating to the woman that I'm not try hard. I'm not trying to impress her. So my status is immediately exceeded hers because I can speak to her in that way. If she's a 9 or a 10, every other guy's like, they're either terrified, struggling for their words, or they're conceptualizing, trying to say something situationally relevant to fit in. If you get to yourself to such a peak state where you're having such a good time, you don't need approval from anyone in that environment. You can say whatever you fucking want. I've done it before. I've been like, oi, come here now. And this smoking hot girl who's blonde and 6 foot long legs have come over to me like a puppy dog. So it's all about how you feel about yourself. And when I say the opener doesn't matter, I truly believe that, because I've kissed girls without speaking to them. I've said that one of my friends used to go out and go up to a girl who's got natural game. And he used to say, I want to put my head up your ass. And the girl was eating out of his palm. So, yeah, I know, but like it worked. Why does that work? Because you're showing every girl where everyone's in the matrix, they're in the nightclub, they're trying to play a role. You're the guy that's out of the matrix who doesn't give a fuck and is just in a party mode. So they want to be around that fun vibe. That's real status. It's not the situationally relevant or the intellectually credible opening line. It's the fact that your energy is so carefree.
It's not about what works. It's about what works best. Yes, I've gone up to girls, and as I said, confidence is a great thing. If you go up to a girl and you're like, listen, hey, wait one sec. Holy shit. Okay, I just have to tell you, blah, blah, blah. And you give a compliment. Of course, that works a lot of times. But I'm saying what works best. If you have a girl that's just rejected 5 guys, I don't give a fuck what you say. That's not going to work, right? You go up and you're not going to get a good response from this girl. This opener that you're suggesting isn't 100% foolproof. And I'm not saying mine is either, but I've tested this shit. And one going super indirect is going to work way more often than just being very charismatic, feeling like carefree. And I think like the mindset here, you guys have it actually wrong. I think like you're sitting there saying, I don't want to change myself for the girl. I think that is actually the change, because the way you would interact with people normally, like if you go up and speak to guys, you're probably going to change your approach depending on the guy. Like if there's an 80-year-old man sitting next to you at the bus stop and you're having a chat to him, I would hope that you're being a little bit socially calibrated here. And the way you speak to him is going to be different to your 5-year-old nephew or niece, or compared to your best mate. I think the way you speak to every guy in society is going to change and shift a little bit depending on the person. But now you're telling yourself, hey, this is a girl, so I'm just going to be completely, I'm not going to change anything. I'm not going to be calibrated. I'm not going to, no, obviously you guys are, right? We're changing ourselves for other people all the time. It's a very normal thing to do. And I think it's very socially calibrated. If I see a girl with a group, the way I speak to her is going to be different when she's by herself. If I see a girl that's very shy and nervous, the way I interact with her is going to be different to a girl that is like an attention seeker and bratty and loves attention and things like that. So I think the mindset of telling yourself this prize frame of, listen, I'm better than any girl. I don't need to worry about it. I don't need to, because I hear some guys say this, where it's like, listen, I'm not going to change anything for myself, right? If she likes me, no, you got to be calibrated, right? And so if I see a girl and she's in the club and she's rejecting a bunch of guys, that's probably not the girl that I'm just going to rely on confidence and charisma to get. I'm probably going to go in and speak to the friend first, or I'm going to use a very indirect opener. I think that's going to work a lot more.
But the thing is though, and see, I agree that yes, if I'm talking to women, plural in general, I'm probably going to talk to women differently in some ways than I talk to like my mom or, you know, my best friend, because I'm talking to a woman to flirt with her, to build sexual tension, to have sex with her and make that happen. But that's because I'm talking to women, but I'm not going to change for that particular woman. Do you see what I'm saying? So if I see her reject 5 guys, I don't care if she reject 5 guys because I'm not any one of those 5 guys. I'm a different motherfucker. So like, let's say, for example, the reason, let's say all 6 of us, let's say all 6 of us approached a woman and she rejected 5 of us except for Aisen. So she rejected everybody on this planet except for Aisen. Now, the reason why she rejected all of us is because we're not Asian, and she just has a thing for Asian guys. You see what I'm saying? Like, we don't know. You know what I'm saying? So why am I trying to change myself for her when the reason why she chose him was because of that specific thing?
Again, this mindset of like change myself for her, I think is a negative mindset. Now, I agree with you. Like, I'm not just saying like, I get it. I'm not sitting there saying, oh, because she rejected 5 guys, I'm 100% going to get rejected and I'm not good enough, so I need to go more indirect. That's not what's going through my head. What's going through my head is this girl is fucking sick of guys coming up to her, okay? Maybe I see the friends pushing away too. She's clearly, in her mindset, is like not in the mood to speak to guys. If she's very attractive, I know this because I've practiced so many times. I know that sometimes here, just being confident is not going to be enough. Now, sometimes it will. Sometimes you can go over and be confident, but you can't sit here and tell me every single time you go up with confidence and say you look sexy, it's successful, because I can guarantee you it's not. And so those times that it's not, I'm saying if you went more indirect there, you would have had a much better approach. If you said, hey, you two look great together, you're such a great couple, that's going to work way more often than you saying, hey, you're really sexy. So those times that it didn't work, those times that the girls didn't want to speak to you would have been great opportunities to try something much more indirect there.
No, I get you on that. But then what happens when you do that? She talks to you, she responds to you, y'all having a conversation, y'all are laughing and giggling. But the whole time she's just using you for attention. She's like, I don't like this motherfucker. I'm just having him here entertain me for 2 seconds.
Yeah, great question.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, where what I'm saying is that either it's gonna happen or not happen, but it's only gonna not happen or happen on my terms.
So again, like I think it's a bad mindset. Like I don't think it's just gonna happen or it's not gonna happen. I think I have so much influence over whether this is going to happen or not happen. So your question of what if she's just using you for attention? Well, I'm going to strip validation, right? If that's the case, if I go over and we're chatting and girls are like this, right? You see some girls bounce from guy to guy in the club, they make up with a guy, they dance with another guy. If she's sticking around and she's like, hey, I'm just using this guy for attention. Perfect. I love that dynamic. Now what happens when I remove that attention and give it to your friend, right? This girl gets a little bit annoyed. She tries to, hang on, one second. Keep talking to a friend. Now we start to get some attraction built. Now she starts to chase. Now she starts to invest more. I can turn back and be like, oh, so anyway, about this, blah, blah, blah. She invests more. And then I can judge. I can either give her some validation now or I can take it back. So yeah, I agree. I don't mind if that's a dynamic to begin with. I don't mind if that's how we start out. I'm down for that. And now it gives me the opportunity to build value, to make a chase, to get her invest. And then before you know it, we're like 10 minutes in this interaction. And now this girl's attracted to me. Now she's into me. Now we're past that stage. So instead of thinking in my mind of, I'm just going to go up. If she likes me, she likes me. If not, whatever, is I know I have the ability here. I have these skills. I have these tools I can use to actually build this investment and build this attraction. That's what I see it.
Yeah, and see that's the thing. I think that's probably why I'm not a pickup artist, because the thing is like that's the part where I feel like you're wasting a lot of time with women who may not necessarily be interested in you. Because everything you said could happen, but also the opposite could happen. Meaning you're doing all that technically for her, because you're like, oh, I'm gonna talk to her friend and she's gonna, be ignored, and then she's probably gonna come back to me and all this other stuff. So you're technically doing it for her. So let's say you do all that and she's still not interested. So why waste time doing all that when you could
It's such a cope. You sound like do all that. I've spent 10 minutes in a fun interaction, right? Now, yes, I'm not going to sit here and say every single goal I ever open and do this, it works. But after those 10 minutes, the times that it doesn't work, I'm not going to sit there and be like, I can't believe I wasted 10 minutes of my entire life on two of these goals and speaking to them and like, but no, it's such a cope. Like, yes, I'm going to go in and I'm going to try and make it happen. And I've got to a point now, like before it was really low rates. Now I've got to the point where it works most of the time. So I'm not even worried about that. But to sit there and they like feel like I'm trying and I'm doing it for the girl, that's not how I feel. When I'm sitting there and I'm ignoring her and she's chasing, I'm speaking to the friend, my internal mindset isn't like, oh my God, I'm doing this for the girl. I think she's so amazing. No, I don't know her fucking yet. Right now, she's got a good booty, and that's why I'm doing this. So if she ends up being really annoying or I don't get along with her or something, it's fine. I'll move on to someone else. And now I've got some pre-selection. I've got this whole girl in the club chasing me around. That's all good. But like to say it's me trying too hard or I'm doing it for the girl, I think it's just a bad place to come from, to be honest.
Well, I want to say something real quick. I do agree with whatever you guys are saying. Obviously, different people have different approaches, and that's why certain people resonate with certain coaches, right? And in this case, I resonate more with, Hashim and Dean in the sense that, I don't really want to change. But also, Marcus has a great point. You do want to be situationally aware because that indicates that you're intelligent, you're reading the room. If a girl just rejected 5 guys, you don't want to just go in there with the same approach, right? In this case, I would say something like, so I'm curious, what did that guy say, right, to you? And then she might say like, oh, he said that I'm beautiful, right? And then I would then ask her, so if a guy talks to you, comes up to you, how would a guy get your number, right? And then she would tell me, oh, he has to be like this and that. And then I'll just do the same thing she said. Like, okay, hey, say the same thing and then see what happens, right? That might make her laugh. And we'll see. We'll go from there.
I would add to what Marcus said. This is like sort of like saying like, why start a business because it can fail? Like, why do anything that has any risk? Like, if you're a salesman, why should you knock on that person's door? They can just reject you, or they can slam the door in your face. Like anything good in life requires some level of risk. By not taking any social risks, you are limiting yourself to a very small select part of girls. But yeah, I don't see it as like, oh, you waste your time. Like if you like anyone who has a business, like you try different strategies, you try different marketing plans. And so if I run a Facebook ad and it doesn't succeed, I don't beat myself up like, why did I run that ad? I just learn from that and run a better ad next time.
No, it's not. It's not about the rejection. It's about why waste time if I have girl A and girl B, girl A I speak to, she's cooperating immediately. Girl B is not. Why would I waste time with girl B when I could talk to girl A?
Yeah, everyone would agree with that. But let's say you don't
actually,
have girl,
I wouldn't agree with that.
Girl A? What if you
I wouldn't agree with that. I think like if girl A and girl B, the question I don't ask myself in the club is I don't look around and say who's going to be cooperative with me, who's going to like say no. I look around in the club and I think number one, who am I most attracted to, and then my second my second principal thing is going to be like who do I get along with most. Now often the girls I get along with most, honestly, are the ones that give me the most shit to begin with, right? Like I do enjoy a girl that's got a bit of like outgoing attitude and things like that. I actually like it. But yeah, like if there's girl A and girl B is like very unattractive, I don't like it, but she's like talking to me. And then her friend girl A is like incredibly good looking, smart girl, charismatic, but she's like, I don't want to talk to guys tonight. Then yeah, guess what? I'm going to talk to the girl that doesn't want to talk to guys tonight. And I'm going to, put up with 10 minutes of like trying things, and yeah, I'm gonna hopefully take her home.
Right, and
I would say that a lot of guys don't also have girl A. So I would actually sort of side with you on this. Like if I have two girls who are completely equal in terms of looks and personality, and one is a lot more receptive, I would focus on
of course. Yeah.
That's more receptive, assuming everything is equal. But a lot of guys don't have that. Most guys don't have that. So you go out and you don't have girl A. You just have a bunch of girl Bs. And especially if you're not particularly good looking or you don't have any status in that environment. So there's nothing wrong with going out and taking a risk and potentially wasting 5 minutes of your time. You can tell within 5 minutes, I would say. Most guys can tell within 30 seconds. But I would say 5 minutes at most, whether it's going to lead to something or not. So it's like wasting 5 minutes. It's like, it's not that big of a deal. It's just like trying a new marketing strategy or whatever. Like if you just don't try anything, then unless you have a business where people are coming to you and saying, please, let me do this for you, which most people don't have, then you have to take some risk and potentially risk wasting your time.
See, I think it just depends on the person's agenda. So like because my agenda is cooperation. So I know Marcus probably doesn't give a shit. He's just like, hey, she's hot. Let me try to figure it out and get her. So I think it just depends on the person's goal or their agenda of why they're doing what they're doing. Because with me, cooperation is number one. So my thing is that if girl A isn't cooperating and girl B is, I'm not attracted to her, I'm just gonna find a new girl A. I'm not gonna waste time talking to anybody else in the situation until I'm interacting with a woman who showed me the cooperation from the jump. So 10 minutes to me is 10 seconds is too much time. You see what I'm saying?
But the problem is, like, you're asking girls to judge you literally on nothing. You're asking the girls to judge you on confidence and looks and fashion. That's it.
No,
like,
no.
At the end, no, you are. What else do they see?
No, but this is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that women understand the difference between a guy who's masculine, confident, and knows what he's doing versus a male who doesn't. Because
so you're asking the girl to judge you on masculine, confidence, and knowing what you're doing, right? And you're letting them do a 10-second judgment of that, right? A lot of girls aren't going to find that attractive enough. So I'm sorry. Like, if you send most students out there,
the hotter girls,
they're very confident and masculine, and like that's super hot girls, that's not going to be enough, right? Like that's like the bare minimum. It's not like the threshold for them to be into you. It's just not going to happen. Same with girls is there's a lot of girls that I meet that put on the mask. Like, they seem like a complete fucking bitch to begin with in the first like 10 seconds. Like 10 minutes in, they're amazing. They're incredible. Like some of the coolest girls I've ever met. So I think like to go up and just be like 10 seconds either side is just, you need more time. You need to be able to get to know the girl and her to get to know you.
That's a very one-dimensional way of looking at it, because it runs way deeper than confidence. The reason that woman in the first place has got such a persona up, the reason she's blown the last 6 guys out is not because she's a bitch. It's because the way the guys are going up are so stifled, so nervous, so approval seeking that they're trying to get something from the girl.
Right.
So women have double standards. If you're trying to play that game and you're trying to pull her, you're trying to conceptualize your behavior in hope that you get a response from that woman, you're always in reaction to her. So it doesn't matter how cool you are, how smooth you are, you're just another guy that's trying to pull her. But if you go in with the mindset, like I said, I've gone up to hot girls and said, "You're so hot, I nearly pissed my pants." And the reason that a woman gets sucked into that energy is emotional contagion. So you're missing a third dimension here. It's like the state that you feel and how much fun you're having and the vibe that you're conveying has an effect on how that woman feels in your presence. So for one guy, he might say, "Hey, I thought you were cute," but there's a load of neurosis there. There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of nervous energy. She doesn't want to be around that. Another guy comes up and says, "Hey, come over here." It's like, it's a double standard depending on the state that the guy's in. It's not just about confidence; it's about the energy that you're conveying.
I agree.
That actually
I agree 100%.
Energetic effect on that woman.
You could say you look really hot, and you could say it in a way that sounds like you don't give a fuck what you think of the girl, right? Like, you can go up to a girl and give a compliment like, "Hey, I just got to say you look really fucking great," as opposed to, "Oh my God, you look amazing." I completely agree with all this. All I'm saying is it's what it sounds like is you guys are picking a persona not a persona, but you're picking, let's say, a level of confidence. You're picking a level of like social contagion. But you're basically allowing whatever it is that you're saying 10 seconds, right? And so if the girl does reject that first 10 seconds, it's done in your mind. And so what I'm saying is, obviously, what you're doing isn't working 100% of the time. There's probably times here where you can put in a little bit more effort, right? Or you can divert the strategy or use a different strategy. That's all I'm saying.
You can go in with perfect energy, perfect confidence, everything.
Yeah, and reject it.
And the girl, some of the hot girls I've hooked up with from cold approach, they were not super receptive within the first 10 seconds. It took me a few minutes, sometimes 10 minutes for them to warm up. I mean, I have infield of this on my channel. The Finnish girl is a good example. Like, when we first started, she was super standoffish. Within 5 minutes, she became a lot sweeter. I find that like the hottest girls, it's just there's exceptions, but most of the time they're not like super into me, no matter how confident I go up to them. I feel like it's too overly simplistic, especially the hottest girls. They have so many guys approaching them. There's other confident, assertive guys who've approached them. You're not the only one. So yeah, you gotta have to, if you want to go, like, if you want to limit if you want to just get with any girl, then I guess you don't have to do this. But if you want to go for the hottest girls, then you have to have a little bit more patience and tact. I'll just pose a quick hypothetical for Locario. Let's say you have 2 options. There's only 2 girls at this bar. One of them is a 6, but she's really, really into you. And one of them is a 9, but she's a bit standoffish. You can only go for one of these 2. Which one do you go for?
I'm going for the 6 all day. And the reason why is because I don't like having sex with women on their terms. So if you like having sex with women on their terms, that's cool, but I don't like doing that. You understand?
That's where we differ. I would go for the 9.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I'll go for the 9. And like, honestly, I think, Yeah, I think the difference is because I get what you're saying, right? If the choice was, if Alex posed this to me, right? There's a 6 that is into you, and there's a 9 that you can sleep with, but she's not going to enjoy it. She's going to think you're a piece of shit, and she's never going to want to speak to you after.
I hate
Yeah, I'd probably
hockey.
go. Actually, I'd maybe go the 9. No, I'm kidding. I'd probably go. But the point is, like, you're seeing this as Alex and I, like, trying really hard and chasing the goal the entire time, and her being like, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Like, that's not the point. Like, when we're implementing these strategies, it's not coming from a place of trying. Just like Dean was saying earlier, like when you go up and say like you're hot to the girl or give a compliment, it doesn't have to come from a place where you put her on a pedestal and you're fucking really into this girl. It can be like a laid back, we'll see what happens type of attitude. And that's what I like to take on. It's like, yeah, I want to get to know this girl, but I'm not acting like I'm desperate to have sex with her or I'm in love with her. It's she's giving me some shit, but I understand why. It's not, I'm not upset about this. I'm not thinking like you're disrespecting me, but I'm gonna really try now. I don't see it that way. She's not disrespecting me. She doesn't fucking know me. All I'm thinking is I need some strategies so she gets to know more of me, because she can see a dominant aspect of myself in those first 10 seconds, but not all of it, right? She doesn't know that I travel around the world, that I own a company, that I do sex coaching, that I like, she knows none of this. She knows I'm a very confident, masculine, dominant guy. And sometimes, guess what? There's not enough. Like, it should be most of the time, I agree, but sometimes it's just not. So, yeah, like, it's just the place that it comes from, I think is important. If I was to feel like I'm getting disrespected, or I'm trying really hard, yeah, it'd be awful, but that's not how I see it. I don't
That
see
wouldn't
it
even
as
work anyway. Trying
disrespecting.
really hard would never work in the first place.
Yeah, true.
Wait,
that
wait, hold up.
that's it.
Here's the theoretical. Would you rather go for a crackhead free who will do anything you want, or well, you go for a 10 who just goes on the bed and just lays there still
10,
like a plank?
10,
I'm not,
10.
I'm not messing with any of them. But this is what I'll say.
Neither.
I don't care if she's missing a fucking leg. I still go for the 10.
So
I don't want a
Oh, man,
crackhead
the whole
free.
thing, yeah.
So wait, let me ask Alex and Marcus something. So have you ever had a situation where you're talking to these girls, they come back to your place, and then they kind of like are like, oh, I changed my mind. I don't want to do it. Does that ever happen?
Well, I don't know if me and Marcus might differ on this, but I don't typically pull groups. I pull a single girl by herself. Yeah, there has been times where I pulled a girl and she changed her mind last minute, but I would say it's pretty rare. Like if I get a girl back to my place, the majority of the time I'm going to sleep with her, unless there's some crazy circumstance where but yeah, vast majority of the time I'll sleep with her when she's back in my place. But I avoid inviting groups back to my place unless I have a wingman and unless it's like a 2-on-2. I won't invite a group of
It
girls.
don't gotta be a group. I'm just talking about like a girl. Like, you don't have to be a group, just like a
Yeah,
girl.
yeah. Most of the time when she goes back to your place, you're gonna close her unless you do something really weird.
I'm talking about the girls that you guys are talking about that you would have to spend extra time with. Like you said,
Yeah,
oh,
you got to realize by the time I assume it's the same for Alex, but I'll speak for myself. But by the time I'm pulling, this girl's already chasing. The dynamic has changed. Like it's not. I see you kind of picturing this dynamic where we're like chasing this girl the whole time, and like
You're like convincing her, hey, let's just go over here. Hey, let's just go.
Yeah. It's like RSD, like just quick adventure. No, by the time the girl's coming home,
so 100% of the time they come back and they're down.
So, yeah, let me explain. So usually by the time we're coming home, I've already talked to him about the type of sex we're having. I've probably already dirty talked to her. Like this is already like happened. I do a thing called like fantasy search, so I find out what she wants in bed. Now, yes, sometimes you might get a concern when you get back to your place. So I might have girls that this is amazing, let's go, blah, blah. Then they get back and they might say, I didn't know about this. But here I'd be like, what's up? And maybe they'll say something like, well, I'm just worried you won't want to see me again. Right? If that's the case, then maybe I'll say like, listen, you seem cool. If like we have a fun time, of course I'm going to want to see you again. Like it makes no sense not to. Maybe a girl's like, listen, I haven't shaved. Like I'm a bit embarrassed. I wasn't expecting. It's like, it's cool. Hey, listen, I don't give a fuck about that. So yeah, there are going to be like some reasons that pop up. I mean, I'm not sure where this is leading, but it's not going to be reasons like, oh, I've changed my mind. I'm not attracted to you anymore. Yeah, I'm not sure what the question
that could theoretically happen, but it's very rare.
That's my point. My point is that a lot of times those that resistance is correlated to the fact that you had to try in the first place. That's what I'm trying to say. Like a lot of times you get like, I don't get that. That like
no,
bro,
wait a
you're
second.
so caught up on this idea of trying, right?
No.
Just because we're implementing
wait, hold
a
on.
strategy.
I think I can explain this a little bit better. So in the beginning, there might be some resistance because she's got to shit test you, right? She's a hot girl. A lot of guys talk to her, so she's got to know who you are first. That's why in the beginning, when a guy approaches her confidently, she might give some resistance, like, "Hey, who the hell are you?" Right? But then if you don't fall for that, you keep on saying things or play along with her to show her your personality, then she's gonna ease off and she's gonna be like, you know what, this guy's kind of cool. Like personal example, right? I like girls who like celebrities, NFL players, but I don't look like an NFL player. I'm not a recording artist, nothing like that.
Mm.
But so that's why when I approach them, they're like, no, you don't fall in my type. You're not black. And then I talk to them. They find out a little bit more about me, right? Saying that, telling them how I am, who I am, and what I can bring to the table, etc. So they get more open. Just like the Pareto's principle, 80% of women are going to be, let's go with the 20%, right? 10% of women are going to love you no matter what, and 10% are not. But 80% are going to be open to you. So you got to talk to her.
Also, I find that like the girls, like you're going just for the girls who are instantly receptive, who give no resistance, those are going to be 5, 6. This is maybe occasional 7. Those are not going to be the super hot girls because you're not the only guy. You're not the only confident guy that approaches a 9. You're just not. There's going to be plenty of guys who approach with massive confidence, and unless she fucks every single guy with confidence, which means she's fucking like all the time, like fucking has like 200 body count, then she's yeah, there's going to be some level of resistance, and you being resilient is what's going to make the difference between you and the guy that didn't get to fuck her. But yeah, if you're going for like if your goal is just to like minimize resistance and like I just want the easy thing, you're going to be limited to like 6s, and they're going to be 6s who are also probably not dating material because their body count is like 200, 300.
What do y'all
Can
get?
I ask Locario a question?
Go ahead.
Locario, I'm curious. You don't have to answer this, it's personal. But
No, I answer whatever.
Do you eat girls out?
My girlfriend's, yeah.
Okay. When you have sex with a girl, like, do you just come like right away, immediately? Do you just like try to get your own nut off?
No. If it's my girl, so my girlfriends and the girls that I'm actually with, like I go all out.
What about like you just pull a girl the first night, right? Like you take a girl.
The first night she's getting like 10 minutes. That's it.
Yeah, this is crazy to me. Like you're very much in this mindset, it sounds like, where it's this big aversion to doing anything for this girl whatsoever that feels like you're trying, right? It feels like you're going to this other end of the spectrum where it's like, I'm actually not going to give a shit. I don't give a fuck about this. I'm not going to, like, for me, I think you can go down on a girl on the first night and give her an incredible time without feeling like disrespected or without feeling you're giving your power away, about feeling like, yeah, it's crazy to me, to be honest.
No, my thing is women have to earn it. So women have to earn everything. So I'm not giving her the whole shebang the first night because you haven't earned it. She has to earn her way to everything. So this is what I'm saying, where if I'm talking
what if she has though? What if she's chasing all night? What if she's after those first 5 minutes of being like bitchy, she's been chasing all night, she's been like validating you get home, she like fucking dances for you, she like sucks your dick, like what do you mean by earn? Like at what point does this go earn it for you? I'm curious.
So basically earning is over an extended period of time. So if we're just talking about sex, like we're actually talking about the act of sex, a new girl only gets like 5-10 minutes, if that much, of dick from
Don't you ever think about the fact that if you fuck a girl really, really, she's much more likely to chase you afterwards, much more likely to see you again?
Exactly. Like, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I think, you know what it is because we have different, it's backwards. So like, y'all are trying to get the girl. I don't care about trying to get the woman. The woman has to try to get me, meaning she has to impress me.
No, there's a difference. We're trying to get the girl to want us, right? We're trying to get the girl to chase us.
But that's
the
what
difference,
trying to get laid. Yeah, I don't
really. You'll see any little bit of effort is trying. Like this is like why download Tinder? That's trying. Why go out to the club? You're trying. Why wear a nice necklace? You're trying. Like it feels like this is almost pushing towards the idea of like you should just be a bum and not give a fuck and like men go on their own way bullshit. Like you have to try. Yeah.
How are you gonna get a girl to chase you when you've chased her?
But the thing is, like, what do you have to offer? That's the problem.
We're not saying to chase. We've said this so many times. We're not chasing, right? So the strategies that I'm implementing are not chasing strategies. The strategies I'm implementing was actually being very indirect, was giving the girl zero attention. What do you think sounds more chasey? Hey, I think you're really sexy. Or, hey, you and your girlfriend look like the best couple in this whole club, right? There's effort behind it, but it's not perceived as high effort and it's not perceived as chasey. When I ignore her and talk to a friend, it's not perceived as chasey. When I DHV to her without sounding like I'm trying to impress her, not chasey. So all of this is designed to make her chase me. There's effort behind it for sure. I've practiced this, I've tried, but it doesn't feel that way. It's not high perceived effort. It's not chasing her.
But this is
To
what I'm
just
saying.
add to that, like
Aren't
it
chasing,
flips a lot of the time. Like you might be putting more effort in the beginning, but after you fuck a girl really well, she's going to be the one that's going to be putting a lot more effort to see you again. I find it flips usually after sex. Like it might be 50-50 before sex, but if you fuck a girl really well, then it's like she's going to do most of the quote unquote chasing. So that's a huge factor that's important to be constant. I would agree with you that if you're constantly like if you're hooking up with a girl regular, she's your girlfriend, you're the one that's always putting in more effort. That's a bad thing. But up until the point of sex, it's fine because after sex, if you fuck her well, she's going to be the one's going to put in most of the effort.
But this is what I'm saying. So Marcus said the two girls, right? He said, I'm ignoring the one girl talking to her friend, and then the girl I'm ignoring is being attracted, right? That's what you said, right?
That I can explain that in more detail, but yes, that's
Right.
roughly speaking.
So essentially, you are not ignoring her because you're talking to the other girl to get the other girl attracted. So you're not even ignoring that girl. You're chasing her by
but
doing.
she feels like she's being ignored. Like this is
Right,
the point. Like from an internal point of view, you can't implement anything. Otherwise, you feel like you are chasing. No one else in the room feels that way. The girl doesn't feel that way. The friend doesn't feel that way. Everyone watching doesn't feel that way. No one feels that way except for you. Because you'll feel like you're trying really hard, and it's a difficult thing for you to do. You need to drop that. Okay. It's this fallacy. You think like any effort is trying. These are the guys that sit there and be like, I'm not going to go to the club. Girls don't deserve that.
No, you're not listening to what I'm saying.
You need to be able to sit back and let go of that.
Hold on. Yeah. Should we arrange a separate debate? This is becoming a whole thing now. I was like, let's see where it's going for a little bit. But, now I think this probably deserves its own fucking debate.
No, what I'm saying,
you guys are up for it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is,
like
it doesn't matter if you feel like you're chasing or not. What I'm saying is the actual act that you're doing is an act of chasing. Because what happens is the girl is not coming towards you. She's going away from you. So you're doing something to try to get her to come towards you. I'm telling guys, hey, listen, I'm saying, yes, put in effort to approach the woman. Put in effort.
That's trying. That's trying. That's chasing. You're literally approaching. You're going towards her by your definition.
No, let me show you the difference. Approaching and chasing is two different things. Approaching is I go to the girl, hey, what's up? How you doing? Right? Now she's talking back to me. How you doing? We having a conversation.
What do you say to her? You're really sexy, right?
Right. So I say, hey, you're sexy. She says, thank you.
But that's not chasing.
Do you shower beforehand? Do you put on nice clothes? Do you
wow, that's chasing, Alex.
Let me explain it to you. Let me explain it to you. Now, chasing would be, I say, hey, how you doing? Right? She looks at me funny, walks away. Right? Now I say, oh, that's her friend over there. Let me talk to her friend. Now I'm talking to her friend. Now she comes back. Now let me ignore her to try. Now I'm doing all this to try to get her back to talk to me. That's chasing. So what I'm saying is that a guy should make an approach.
Literally the opposite. You're ignoring her.
Right. And no, that's what I'm saying. And that's what I said. That's the chasing. What I'm saying is
the reason she walked away is because you were chasing. The reason she walked away is probably because she showed too much effort at first. That's the thing. Again, this is all internal. Her perception is not chasing. It's just but we can talk about this another time, I guess.
Okay. If you guys want to have like a one-on-one debate or, have some other guys participate, we can arrange that another time. That's no problem. That'll be interesting though. I would love to hear more about Mr. Locario's perspective on that. But anyway, I think it's best if we probably move on at this point. So next one. This probably isn't for everyone, but what's your Instagram game like? Can you share some Instagram strategies?
I feel like Instagram game is not possible currently for the majority of guys because their Instagrams are not that good. I think it's a much higher bar than using dating apps because on dating apps, you just need 4 or 5 good photos. With Instagram, you need a bunch. I have met girls off Instagram, but I have an unfair advantage because I have like a lot of social proof photos. I have a YouTube channel. But yeah, I mean, I think the best strategy is to first have a really good profile. Second of all, you reply to the story instead of just DMing her. You say something witty or about the reply to her post or reply to her story, I mean, and then you play it a little bit slower than Tinder. You build up more investment, more comfort, and then you just go for the date. But I think it's something that most guys will fail at.
Yeah, I'll throw in something there quickly because me and you have quite a few overlaps. We do a lot of similar things. Having a YouTube channel myself, just like you do, you have something like 200,000 subscribers. That is
No
heavy
big
social
deal.
proof.
Yeah,
No
210,
big
you know.
deal. Hey, no big deal. But that's something you can carry on to Instagram because it's a different format, but YouTube Shorts you can use the same fucking file for Instagram Reels. So that's something I'm doing. But most guys who, and especially guys who don't have a YouTube channel, won't be able to do the same thing that I'm doing, which is using my YouTube Shorts and just throwing them systematically onto Instagram. And that is getting me followers. I gained quite a few thousand followers on Instagram in the last few weeks just from this one Instagram reel, or maybe two or three particular ones. But doing that got me a lot of success. And so for me and you having that bias, us identifying essentially as YouTubers, that really helps. But for other guys, normal guys who don't have necessarily anything special going on for them, there are just so many possibilities, but it's not necessarily clear what those guys can do with their Instagram. However, there is one guy, I'll just give an example, who came up to me after one of my presentations and he said he's a musician. What can I do for my Instagram? And well, you can make it about music. Make Instagram Reels about music. That's how you will gain followers, and followers will help in terms of your social proof. It won't happen overnight, the first night, but it might happen overnight down the line, 1 year from now, 2 years from now, something like that. If you make your Instagram profile not about pictures of the fucking food that you're eating or the restaurants you're going to, or just fucking selfies of yourself, like me included, that was my Instagram like 10 fucking years ago or some shit. Everyone else is just having these generic Instagrams where it's like, here's a photo of me. Here's a photo of me. You're not going to get followers that way, and not much is going to happen. You need to make use of Instagram Reels. If you're just a musician by hobby, that's an avenue you can take it. That can help for your career. Your career may not be relevant to something you can do on Instagram. You may be a janitor at a high school, for example. I don't think you'll be
Put
worth
some
making.
janitor reels on. Like you
Yeah,
mop the
janitor
floor.
fucking reels.
Floor
Here's how to
in 30
clean.
seconds. You just mop
Hey,
the
But this
hey,
comes
what?
down to a thing. This comes down to a thing where you look at like Dogface 43 or something, where he was doing the ocean spray on the skateboard and got like 1.2 million followers. So I would think I kindly caveat that. I think I just had to look at every single one of yours, and your Instagrams are doing well. So I feel as if we were all in the position in 2015, 2016 where we didn't have that. We learned it. So it's a long-term play for a great return. Now, where I will agree with Alex, where it's like the people that want short-term gratification, quick results, that's where you go to your Tinder. I would say that if you learn how to play the long term, Instagram game is one of the most phenomenal things that you'll ever get, because you won't only just get girls, you'll get connections, you'll get opportunities come your way just by having a good Instagram. And it comes down to that people just don't know how to present themselves correctly. They've never spent time in front of a camera. I'll give you an example. The average person that is a news reporter takes about 2 years to get comfortable on camera. Yet Jeremy, that takes 5 photos in his living room, thinks he's going to be good on Instagram. It doesn't happen like that. If Kim Kardashian takes 5,000 photos for one selfie, you have to understand that if you want to get very, very comfortable, at least 10, 20, 30,000 photos are going to be taken. Jeremy the janitor, you never know. You can put reels up there. Now, there's a lot of different strategies. You guys are using the YouTube to Instagram strategy, fantastic. Now you're repurposing reels to Instagram, fantastic. There's other ways. You're thinking undermining the understanding of Twitter. Twitter is a great lead source to be able to funnel to your Instagram. These are things like, people have used Reddit, people have used Quora, people have used a plethora of different avenues to be able to tailor TikTok, for instance, a great sort of way. So there is always a way, but it just starts with these guys want to do Instagram game and never want to put their face on camera. It's like, well, for starters, the reason why they don't want to do that is because they either butt ugly, they don't want to improve themselves, they don't want to do anything. And they're like, oh, this sucks. This is going to take too much time. They don't want to do the investment. But again, the guys that are willing to do the investment are willing to book the photographer, look at different photo places in their environment, understand that let me curate a character of who I am. Obviously, everyone's doing this. What makes me stand out? What would make people want to follow me? What am I going to put out there? Because if they're not doing that, they just don't want to because they're like, oh, it's too much effort, too much this, too much that. The same guys that like would say, oh, I don't want to go to the club. The same guys are like, oh, Tinder Bumble doesn't work for me. Same guys that wouldn't even pay for those apps. So I would say that the guys that can't do it are the guys that will never do it, will never get success. But the guys that actually go, okay, well, this is a long-term pay. And I'm saying like, you can get really, really good within 6 months, but you're going to reap the rewards a year and a half in. You're going to get some of the best results you've ever got in your entire life from Instagram. It's a thing that was just, it was a nothing, and now it is one of the most phenomenal places. This takes away from the argument we just had as well, where you a lot of the time you don't even have to go to the club, and you can get girls from sitting in your room. Again, I spent 30 minutes yesterday sitting on my bed DMing girls to set up dates, and it can happen when your Instagram is there. So you can eliminate 4.5 hours, because again, at the end of the day, the reason why this works is because of saving time. So a good analogy of this is when Uber decimated cabs. You guys remember the year where Uber first came out in New York? Everyone was doing that. The reason why it completely destroyed the cab industry is because it was quick. Now, I'm going to give you an example. So in the year 2000, we're on a date with a girl. Usually it takes 3 to 4 dates to get to know something about, the person, and ends up being 12 hours, whether you can understand their confidence, understand their family structure, understand who they are as people, how tall they are, all these different things, how they handle pressure of ordering and all these can probably takes about 12 hours, where in Instagram, now a girl can go on your page and get that same information within about 25 seconds. So it's about saving time. So I would say that the guys that are not on Instagram, not doing it, it's unquantifiable how many leads that they could be getting that they don't even see them. So they're like, oh, I'm not losing anything by not doing it. But when you start to get on Instagram, you actually start to see how many leads you have lost in the years. And so that my 2 cents on this is that it's so under leveraged that if guys just actually, pull their fucking pants up and be a big boy and be like, all right, it's going to be a couple of years, but I'm going to learn this strategy, learn how to do it. Man, so many fucking great things can happen from this thing. Heck, me, I created like pretty much a 35-person social circle from Instagram in Medellin in 2 weeks being here through Instagram. And that's just by doing that.
I would just add this. If you're living in like a first world country in America, like I would say I have an Instagram that's better than like probably 95% of people. I have a lot of subs on YouTube and whatnot, but I would have a much higher ROI on dating apps or cold approach than I would on Instagram. It would just take a lot more work. Where I find Instagram actually comes in to help me, where it's most useful, is when I cold approach a girl and she's like, maybe. And then when we exchange Instagrams, that can push her over the edge. Or a dating app, or a girl from a dating app that's also maybe. So that's where I find. But initially, the lead still comes from that. I do think, though, in places like Colombia or any country that's basically not America or Canada or England, it could be a different story. You might have a higher, but like all these girls in America who are 6s and above have like 100 million DMs, and they have like in Miami, pretty much every girl that's like hot on Instagram has some like basketball player, celebrity sliding her DMs. So it is quite competitive.
Yeah, well, that's where in Miami you see a lot of the guys are fly in, fly out with a lot of the girls from Utah, from fucking Ohio. Yeah, that's what a lot of the guys do.
Sexy foreign girls, hell yeah.
That's it. But yeah, but here's the thing: it's like if you ever want to travel, this is the best thing to ever be able to use. This is where connections can come from. This is where girls can come as soon as you step off the plane. And again, you got Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge, absolutely. But yeah, Alex is correct. When you can funnel those into, oh my God, this is his lifestyle as well. Like you get 5 or 6 photos and a bit of a bio for dating apps, but your whole Instagram is just, oh wow, this is what he does. Oh, these are the people that comment. Oh, these are the mutual friends we have. Oh, these are the amount of followers and the social proof he has. There's just so many layers on top of that you can't just brush it off and be like, nah, I don't want to do it. It's not worth it. It's like, yeah, some of the like I would say like, a lot of the most hottest girls have come from Instagram game, 10,000%.
Yeah,
like because you got stories, you got videos coming out, it just adds to your presence.
The mutual connection things is such a fucking powerful thing. I was always fascinated by coincidences, but even today, one of the one of the coaches who couldn't make it, I just crawled on his Instagram an hour before it started, and I found that he's followed by I only follow like 39 fucking people on Instagram, and I found that he's followed by two people that I follow, one of which is a woman that I know who was part of my social circle. And I was like, oh shit, how the fuck does he know her? He's all the way up in Toronto and she's all the way down in another country. It's like that coincidence. I was going to ask him, but he's not here. I've been to clubs and even on Facebook and Instagram is the same. Seeing those connections where she's like, oh, you know this guy. I went to New York University with him or whatever the place is. Those can solidify your connection with the woman you just met in such incredible ways that you already have, I'm not bothered by things we have in common, but people we have in common is an incredible thing because she could ask that guy what he thinks of me or something like that. Even if it's bad, she could let me know, oh, he said something bad about you. And he's just like white knighting me or some shit. That kind of thing happens, But even here's a stranger perspective on this. So I'm married, so this is gonna be quite unrelatable in some way. But me and my wife, when my wife was diagnosed with cancer 2 years ago, we came up with this idea to create a new Instagram for her where she can just have Instagram reels and some photos of her wearing high heels. Like this is a 9-inch fucking high heel thing. She could wear those and do exercise, and that could be like the niche that she operates in. The alternative is as a woman, she could just like do bikinis or whatever women do, like classy Radisson blue photos with some fucking chandelier or some shit. Or she could do bikinis, whatever these other types do. Or we can find something incredibly unique that is somewhat fitted with a passion. And like Sam was saying, this guy had a dog who could fucking skateboard. If you have a fucking pet, that is awesome. You could have something going like that. If you have a bunch of fucking cats and you're a nerd and you have this whole fucking train set. There's like a Japanese YouTube channel where they just like put a camera on this little model train and just run over the cats with it. And the cats like knock it down. It's the funniest fucking shit. My daughter loves it. Even something like that, that is something you finding your own niche if you don't have a solid personal identity yourself, that's something good to go for. But anyway, any other perspectives?
Can I just quickly clarify something for the people who are going to be wondering? That's my clean lady background.
Huh?
That's that because there's going to be some people who are going to be like, "Oh, look at the girl Alex is banging. That's my cleaning lady."
hey! You can do both. You can.
She's very sweet. She's a very nice lady. She's doing a good job so far.
How's her Instagram doing? Is she doing?
I don't know. We just met today.
Cleaning reels.
That's funny.
She's got some thirst trap photos on her Instagram.
Cleaning
in under 30 seconds.
I was gonna say some piggybacking off of Sam's response, saying that it is a longer game, right? It is a longer process with Instagram, but also it's very rewarding. However, it doesn't have to be as long as you think, because if you're a person that is financially stable, who makes close to 6 figures or over 6 figures, you can showcase your life, take some good photos, maybe like 9 good photos, and then showcase your life through the stories. If you're going out to like steakhouses, if you're traveling, people want to see that. Like, I know it gets a little bit boring because right now, I do some of that stuff, but I'm like, I don't want to share the same stuff, the same restaurant, same whatever. But certain people are going to think, wow, I like this guy's lifestyle. I want to be a part of it. So that's the benefit of having an Instagram and showcasing your life a little bit more. Other than that, I've gotten opportunities, business opportunities, romantic opportunities through Instagram, just like how I am here. Ice White hit me up on Instagram. And that's that's how it got started. As well as certain people you're gonna meet from years ago are gonna hit you up as well. They see that progress, they have that trust with you now. They're like, okay, I see this person, killing it, grinding it, whatever. I want to work with him, or I want to hit him up so he can make me, his date or whatever. So that's the benefit of having a great Instagram. It doesn't have to take years. It could take a few weeks, having some good pictures and showcasing your lifestyle. That's it.
Yeah, there's some funny coincidences. Like just a few weeks ago, there was a guy who I actually met maybe 2 years ago. He was married to a woman I was kind of working with, and he just like randomly messaged me on Instagram saying they were now divorced. He's the ex-husband, and he like found my content on Instagram or some shit, and he ended up buying my book. That's unique to me. That's not going to be helpful for everyone, but ultimately be creative with your thing. Like Alex's janitor cleaning lady in the background, she could do some cleaning reels wearing some bikini or some shit. It's Miami, might as well be fucking creative. Or if you're a cleaning man, maybe you could wear okay, that's just ridiculous now. But
Look, this lady's probably like married with kids, and we're just talking about like she probably has like a family and stuff. But yeah.
No, that's just the funny shit. Like my wife, for example, like we're married. The goal of her Instagram essentially just for fun, I guess, but there was the possibility that we could use it to raise money there she is, use it to raise money for cancer or something like that. She didn't really want to go that route, but we haven't done anything there for a while because I'm too busy doing other stuff. But that's something fun, finding your own niche. If you don't know what it is, go explore. I would have never known I would have been some kind of YouTuber or making YouTube videos, but exploration is how I got there. It took a few years to really get to this point, but even when I had a smaller Instagram with like 1,000 followers, just doing night game, meeting people at the club, I would get connections through there. People would watch my stories, and I would be able to get dates just from the people watching my stories. So even you don't have to go super fucking hardcore, but even with just 1,000 followers, that's a nice start. Make use of those stories too. Anything else before we move on?
Yeah, I think make sure you get someone who can help you with your Instagram, because if you get it wrong, it's actually a demonstration of lower value. Because I've had girls add me on Instagram before where there was massive chemistry. And my forte isn't photos, my forte is an Instagram game. It's more cold approach and connection and building real attraction in person. So the attraction I created when I did the cold approach, she looks at my Instagram and it's not complementing the characteristics of what I'm conveying in the way that I speak to her. So you've got to get it right. And I would recommend, if you're going to play that game and you're going to try and use your Instagram account to build connections and attract women, find someone who knows what they're doing with it, because it can actually serve as a hindrance rather than a help if you don't get it right. I've seen it myself, and it's like the women will judge you. There's a comparison going on that platform where on Instagram, everyone's showing their best foot. They're showing the highest level lifestyle. So the women are comparing you to the footballer who's in a DM saying, can I go out? Especially if you're attracting like hot girls, you exchange Instagrams. So your profile at least needs to be normal. If there's any like grot in there or just the lads out and it looks like you're going to a cheap place to eat, you're going to kill it for yourself. So I would recommend, if you're going to do that Instagram thing, find someone who can help you with that for sure.
For any guys who are not believing that like soccer players or like basketball players are in these girls' DMs, I have seen for myself in the DMs of a woman who has just 1,000 followers or maybe less than that. She had DMs from, and this particular one I'm thinking of was back in 2018, maybe before you could literally pay for the verification badge. I could see verification badges in there. There were DJs, rappers in there, DJs too, actually. That is how it's happening. These guys, this was back before you could pay for verification badges. Now it's like only $10 a month or something. So But you have to match up with that, of course. But that's how it is. That's really how it is, even just 1,000 followers.
Yeah, when I was running a boot camp in August in Miami, I started talking to a girl, and she revealed that the last guy she was seeing was Tristan Tate, and I was like, "There's no fucking way we're exchanging Instagrams. It's WhatsApp only." Yeah, it's like,
Oh yeah, comparison can be a real killer. Alrighty, I guess we'll move on unless there are any other comments. Here's one that's tackling limiting beliefs. I throw this question out there, kind of talked about it before in other panels, but people keep fucking bringing it up and it's frustrating. So I really want to keep dealing with this. Can you be ugly and successful with women? Is it possible?
absolutely, 100%. When I first started getting involved in game and cold approach, and that's why when I say, people are talking about which is the best technique and you've got to calibrate to the woman. We went out to Ayia Napa in Cyprus, and we decided to spend about 6 weeks out there and go full hog, just go full escalation, full caveman mode, like no game, just pure expression, pure escalation. And one of my friends who come out with me was the skinniest, palest guy you could ever imagine. He wasn't tall, he wasn't muscular. He wore Primark clothes. I don't know if you guys know Primark, but it's like the cheapest clothes shop in England. And this guy absolutely tore it up. And why was that? It was because he had self-belief, he was self-invested, he was comfortable around escalation, he was horny as a dog. And when we taught him to channel that and just fucking go, we coached this guy, and he wasn't into the pickup stuff, but he had a natural ability, he had a natural self-belief. So can you get that self-belief? Well, that's what self-development and psychology and game is about. It's about, if you're not confident, you don't believe in yourself, you're not comfortable around talking to hot women, you can work at that. So many times I've seen it, and I will swear this until the cows come home, that looks are way down on the ladder in terms of what women actually find attractive. And if you've got the behavior, you've got the self-belief, you've got the mindset, you work at your game, you work at your communication skills, you can clean up with the hottest girls, even if you're a 5 out of 10 looks wise. And I'll hold that argument all the way through this. I truly believe that. I've seen it for myself so many times.
I'll just add a little bit more nuance to this. Like, look, I think obviously it's a lot easier if you're good looking. And I think a small percentage of guys are fucked, like guys who are like 5 feet, or guys who are like just like fucking have some kind of weird face deformity. But that's a small percentage of men. I mean, those guys can get some success, but it's going to be much, much lower than the potential of anyone on this panel. Most guys are by default average looking. Looks maxing can be very helpful. I think that it's going to require more work if you're average looking compared to being above average looking. The worse looking you are, the more work it's going to require. But it is doable, yeah. And again, most guys are not ugly; they're average.
I mean, I have a whole book called "Looks Don't Matter." So, my opinion on that shit is so basically what I say is this is when it comes to a guy being successful with women, if we're just talking about like getting sex and attracting women for sex and things like that, your looks aren't, unless you're like super deformed, like, because if you have your 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth in the same place as everybody else, you're fine. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you're okay. It is not really that difficult. The real thing is, are you sexually appealing? That's the most important part, because you could be good looking and actually not sexually appealing. Because I have clients who are 6 foot, good looking dudes who have a hard time getting girls. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, why are they having a hard time getting girls? Because they're not sexually appealing. You see what I'm saying? So, and then you have guys who look the opposite of them, probably like 5'9", 5'8", average looking or whatever, but they're killing it. And that's because they're more sexually appealing. So a lot of guys just need to learn how to be more sexually appealing, and they'll be able to attract women. But most guys, what they do is they focus on the surface level things, which is the looks. So you have a lot of videos on YouTube of looks maxing and all these other things, and which is good. You should try to look your best. But if you're focusing just on the outside, right? What happens is that if a woman thinks you're physically attractive, thinking you're cute or handsome or whatever it is like that, if you don't know how to talk, if you don't know how to fuck, If you are insecure, all of that stuff, you looking this way is not going to really help you that much, because what happens is, even if she's checking you out based on what she likes physically, she's going to say, oh, he was cute till he opened his mouth. Or, I just don't feel it. He's not, he doesn't turn me on, or whatever it is like that, even though he looks this way. So yes, you can use your looks to your advantage if it can get you to the point where the woman sees you as sexually appealing. But at the same time, sex appeal, which is a combination of your looks, appearance, and behavior, is way more attractive than just talking about how you look physically. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. So what I tell my clients is that there is a difference between good looking and looking good. You don't have to be born good looking, right? I was born kind of ugly. Let me show you a picture, as a matter of fact. This is a picture of me in high school. Look at that. I got pimples, bad hair, baggy clothes, but you don't have to be born necessarily attractive to look good, because women care about your grooming, how you put yourself together. That's more important. And if someone's attractive, but they stink, have no hygiene, or can't dress themselves, that's not very flattering either. So I just want to put that out there as well.
Yeah, man. I've observed the best look. These 6'4", ripped to shreds, muscular, blonde-haired, blue-eyed guys in the clubs, and they've got personalities as dry as a bone, and they get nothing. And people think if you're good looking, like, women will approach you, they might give you more of an invitation. But the moment you go up there and your personality is bland, and you've got no confidence, and you're too quietly spoken, and you're not making eye contact or communicating with that woman in a sexual way, she thinks she's attracted to the way that you look. But the problem is, if you are good looking, if you don't have that swagger and you don't have that charisma, it can actually work against you being good looking. If you don't have the foundation, you don't have the personality that women find attractive. That's why you can see shorter guys, chubbier guys, not so good looking guys in the face killing it with women in the clubs, or they're always walking around with a nice looking woman. The reason for that is their confidence, their personality, their interesting knowledge, the way that they express themselves, how comfortable they are in their own skin, makes that woman feel comfortable. Because part of being in a relationship is not just attraction, it's comfort too. So if that guy's got a good relationship with himself, and he holds himself well, and he's on his own journey, he's on his purpose, the woman's going to see a lot of dimension to his personality and other things that she might find attractive other than his look. So I don't need any more convincing about our looks important. Yeah, obviously, if you're deformed, that might limit you. But if you're a 4 or a 5, or if you're a 5 upwards, you can be just as attractive as any other guy. You just work on the other things that don't require you to be good looking.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
Go
on, Mark, if you want. I was going to say, I think the whole question is completely wrong, and whoever asked it is trying to get the easy way out. It's kind of like the question that Aiden asked Tate, which was, how do I get a 6-pack quick? It's like, all of us here have improved our looks and have become successful. So the guy's like, can I stay ugly and still be successful with women? It's like, can I not do anything and get the result that I want with short term, So the whole idea.
People have genetic limits, though. Like there's a guy who's 5'5", like he can put in a lot of work, but he'll never be good looking. There's genetic limits.
Yeah, but like what I'm saying is that you can be good looking with like 3 mil in the bank, You can be good looking with a nice car. You can be good looking with a nice tailor. You can be good looking, but the guy's like, if it's like, because there's guys that are missing limbs that are good with girls, right? Facial deformity, it's like, okay, we'll pay for plastic surgery, pay for getting your teeth done, pay for getting a hair transplant. Like, you can get better. It's just the idea. It's like, can I stay the same and still get the result is not the answer.
You can improve your looks by like 2 points, maybe 3 points if you go all out. But if you're a guy who's like a 4 or a 3, like your guy who's 5'4", you're never going to be good looking. No matter how much money you spend, no matter how much work you put in. You can be good with girls, but you won't be good looking.
Now, if you're saying facial deformity, this brings into question, what about the UFC fighters that do have girls that have an enormous amount of facial disfigurity?
Well, they're good with girls, but they're not good looking, right? You can be good with girls and not be good looking. But I think what I just want to clarify is that you can't just like, if you're like a below average looking guy, you're never going to be good looking. You can be good with girls, but you won't become good looking. You can improve your looks by 2 points maybe, but if you're 5'4", that's not going to change.
Yeah,
for sure.
Agree,
but that's just saying like that Floyd's not attractive and Floyd's 5'4", 5'5".
He's not conflating attraction and looks. I think what Sam is saying is, even if you're bad looking, you can be attractive. And I think is what Alex is saying is if you're bad looking, you're bad looking. So I think you're just speaking past each other. I think you agree, just using
Okay, gotcha.
But most women don't care about looks. That's the thing. It might get the door open, but that's about it. Because they care more about the emotional connection.
No, I just
whereas
guys,
women care about looks. The question is how important are the looks to her?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, this is what I was gonna say. Like the person asking this question is probably black pilled. And I think there's a lot of guys that are good looking that think the same thing. It's basically just looking for an external reason to not blame yourself. So if you're have some disappointing interactions with women, if you get rejected, which is going to be like 95% of guys, then you do two things. One, you look inwards and you say, there's things I can change, there's things I can do, and I'm going to do those things. Or you look for an excuse and you look outwards and you blame something else. The easiest thing to look outwards and blames is looks because it's difficult to change, right? It's more genetic. So you can say, well, it's not me, it's just my looks. Or you blame the women. The women are awful, they're bitches, they're super entitled. That's what's going on. Now, at the end of the day, like I get worried sometimes that like our community pushes it to the other end and we sit here and say, looks don't matter and blah, blah. I mean, yes, when it comes to attraction, there's different things that come in and basically allow the girl to know she's attracted to you. Looks is an important part of that. Like it's going to be a big thing, but you can, as everyone was saying here, you can compensate because of that. So you can compensate by having status, by being very confident, by having like a good masculine sexual energy, or, you know, whatever the other attraction triggers are. And I think as men, we often overestimate how much looks matter because we care about it more. We look at a girl and we ask, are we attracted or not? 90% of those probably looks, let's be honest at first. Whereas girls don't do that. It's not as strong as association. So I think if you're a guy out there, yes, like be realistic, looks matter, try to fix it. Like as we were saying, like try to improve your fashion or whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, you can compensate. There's other things you can do and the control you do have. There's things you can change so you can have good interactions with the women. You can have attraction and you can get some girls.
Yeah. And also too, a lot of guys, they try to judge themselves based on other men, meaning that you don't know why a woman is physically or sexually attracted to you. You see what I'm saying? So you're like, well, this guy's not good looking. And then another woman might be like, this motherfucker's gorgeous, but that's because she's a woman. So you can't really judge accurately another guy and how he looks to the woman. Do you see what I'm saying? We think we can, but you don't got a vagina. So you don't really know why this woman would think this guy is actually attractive or sexually attractive or good looking or whatever else the hell it is. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, so
don't forget
the female
well,
gaze shit that's coming up.
You know, the way a woman perceives how attractive you are changes based on her emotional state and how she feels her connection is towards you. So the more you build attraction, the more you build connection with a girl, the more you become attractive to her because she sees with her emotions. You know, I've had plenty of times where I've been on a date with a girl and I've started seeing her and she's pointing out things that she loves about me, which, you know, my broken nose and my receding. She's like, I love your nose. You know, I love the fact that you've got a receding hairline. It gives me more of a fatherly vibe. It's like, no, you don't. You just like that because I've made you feel a certain emotion and you're justifying that. So you become more attractive to a woman the more you get good at connecting and attracting and building a bond with her. So the way you physically appear, I think women don't look as visually as men do. Of course, we read the evolutionary psychology. A woman didn't need a man so much for the way that he looks and his genetic perfection more than how he can look after her and make her feel like there's survival value there versus, you know, men are drawn to look. So if you build connection, you become more attractive to that woman anyway. And then she backwards rationalizes that even though you're not her perfect type visually, she feels a certain way towards you. And that's why she wants to be with you.
Yeah, and
I think
also,
what that is really important. That I think that the black pillars make it all about looks, but then sometimes people in our community go too far the other way and say looks don't matter. I think it's important for us as coaches to give people realistic expectations, and I think that if we give a 5'4" guy, give him the expectation that's going to be the same for him as it is for us, then we're setting them up for disaster. Like that 5'4" guy can be successful with girls. It's just going to require more effort. He's going to have to compensate more in other ways versus a guy like us or something like guys who are like 6s and 7s won't really have to do that as much.
but see, I think the problem is that because us guys, we harp so much on looks, we're looking at it from the sense of our own thoughts about looks towards women and how much guys put women's looks on a pedestal, and y'all think, and guys think it's the same on the other side, meaning that it's not difficult for a woman to get a guy who's good looking. You know what I'm saying? Like women get hundreds of guys who are good looking. So what happens is that who she chooses is based on whatever she feels makes the best choice for her based on however that guy is attractive to her. Meaning that if she has 50 good looking guys, which one is she going to pick? Because all of them are good looking. So the good looking cancels out. So what is different about the guy she picked? And that's where game comes in. Because when you have game, that differentiates you from other men. You see what I'm saying? So this is the thing. A lot of guys like to group themselves with everybody else, but the game differentiates you from other guys, which is why you could have a woman who's crying over a dude who's average looking, and this other good looking guy's trying to get whatever, but she's crying over the average looking guy. Why? Because he's different than the other guy. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times we stay in this bubble because we're just looking at it from our perspective, but we're not looking at it from the perspective of the woman in general and seeing what's going on with her. Because I used to, I don't do this anymore, but I used to tell women that I'm dating to show me their Tinder inboxes and all. So I'll be looking through their messages just for research and shit. And a bunch of good looking dudes. But I'm like, guys that I would consider from my own opinion, better, taller than me, better looking than me, but you're out here with me and you're just chatting with this dude. So why? What, you see what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. You got to understand the differentiation is the main thing that is the most attractive versus looking at just surface level things as far as looks. Now, I'm not saying looks are irrelevant. I'm just saying that we put too much emphasis on it and try to make that the biggest thing. And that's why a lot of guys they end up losing because they're so focused on looking better instead of being better. And that's why they always losing. It's terrible.
I think the best thing guys can do if they're the type of guy who has this kind of question, I don't think ugly guys could get women. Ask 10 girls to show you pictures of their last few boyfriends. Take a look for yourself. I don't know what they're going to look like, but you're going to know once you ask that question for the girls that you're interested in, like the 10 girls that you're interested in. See the answers for yourself, because there's our theoretical answer on this, and there are words. There's the propaganda of black pillars who say only looks matter or some shit like that. And then there are the girls who will say, I only go for this type of man. And then there is reality, and reality is going to show the truth once you actually look at the pictures of the guys she has been with. And then that will reveal the real answers, if it actually matters. For me, I'm more on the side of I don't really give a shit. There was like a comment I received maybe yesterday. Surely Ice White doesn't get women. He's ugly. And I'm like, I'm not even mad. Yes, I have become fatter during the pandemic. I'm a married man now, but back in my day, I was a skinny fuck, goofy looking redneck, pale as shit. Like what Dean was talking about, I thought he was describing me, like some goofy looking skinny ass white boy, until he mentioned like this. That he was short. I'm a tall guy. Just recently, I was on Just Pearly Things, and I was talking about the height thing. A lot of people dismiss my advice because I'm tall. Fucking heightist Nazi bastards. Anyway, what the fuck am I talking about? I go off the rails a lot. I'm like a fucking dementia patient sometimes.
You were telling us about how tall you are and how awesome it is to be tall.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I know. I'm just fucking around. But on Just Pearly Things, I was saying, if I was short, I would see being short as my superpower. I would flip it upside down, because if I was a short motherfucker and I had a hot woman in my arms, I would look better than the tall version of myself. Motherfuckers would look at me and be like, how the fuck is this guy with her? I have seen such guys who are short or ugly, and they got a hot woman in their arms. It is fucking possible. The problem is that a lot of guys self-sabotage because they don't even fucking try. They're just like, oh, I'll never try because I accept that I'm ugly, so I'll never talk to women. Well, what the fuck are you gonna do about it? You can complain all you fucking want and pity and self-defeat, or you can fucking do something about it. If you want to lose some weight, definitely lose some weight. If you want to improve your face, whatever. I personally don't give a shit. I'm more interested in personality. So I'm more biased in that side, but if you really want to know the truth, ask the women to send photos of the guys she has been with. That will tell you the most accurate answers. Any other perspectives on this?
Yeah, I mean, you say it's obviously our theoretical view, but if you look at David Buss and Jeffrey Miller and people like that, it's like, even go back to Darwin, it's like they point out sexual selection and they talk about behaviors and survival value. That's what's attractive to a woman. And you've got to be very careful about the paradigm that you're living in, because if you subscribe to that notion that looks are super, all that matters, they're super important, you're going to be walking around under this idea that that's the truth. And your reticular activating system will only ever see gorgeous girls with good looking guys. And it will block out any evidence that there's an alternative, any evidence that actually there are guys that look average. There are short guys, there are fat guys that have always got gorgeous girls. So you've got to be careful about what your psychology subscribes to and the belief system that you build around that. So you've got to open your mind a little bit and go out there and look for that evidence, because if you believe it, it's going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy where you think looks matter so much that there's no point in trying, and then you'll just sit home and watch porn and give up. So, you gotta watch what your mind is doing and how your belief system is forming around these limitations.
All right.
Which is what I said about that. Which is what I said about the question. You're exactly correct. Where you should have been like, instead of like, how can I be ugly? It's like, how can I be better? That's it. So you're 100% on the money with that thing.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to the next one. This one's a little more complicated. What advice can you give about redirecting confrontation into something productive? For example, we tend to respect people who are able to handle challenging questions, being interrupted, receiving remarks, or general negativity fired their way. In a man-to-woman scenario, negging can be seen as a lighter version of this, but what about the heavier kind of disagreeableness?
Okay. Hold on. Can you repeat the question? So I'm kind of.
I put it in the chatting, so you can refer to it anytime. But it's a pretty complicated one. But essentially, what advice can you give about redirecting confrontation into something productive? So,
yeah. So I mean, confrontation can be good. It can display that you're not like a nice guy. You don't get put in that category. It can display like a lot of confidence. Not many guys are willing to get into like a confrontation or disagreement with a girl. If a girl is somewhat like bratty, which is like a smaller archetype, but if she's bratty and has some attitude, she might actually find this very attractive. It's going to elicit a lot of emotion within the girl. And if she's just like a big attention seeker, then this strips a lot of validation. So this goes back to the security guard opener that I was talking about. So you might artificially create confrontation. You might go to a girl and say like, "Hey, what the fuck? You can't stand here," or you're like, "Hey, how old are you? You can't be in this club," or some shit. And then, well, it could happen during the interaction. The key here is you want to use it to display these things, but you can't have a whole interaction where it's just confrontational, right? Like it's always just going to fucking die and there. So you need to find a way to turn it back. This needs to be like a playful setting. So if you have a confrontation with a girl, oftentimes the way I switch that is I'll look at her, I'll smirk, and I'll be like, "What, you want to fucking fight? You want to go? Listen, I'll take you." And then the girl switches into the playful mode. She's like, "Oh, I can take you." She gets up. She might like push you a little bit or something like that. That is the transition. That is like the little offer you give out there to let's move this from confrontational to more flirtatious now. If that's one scenario. The other scenario is the guys that just accidentally get into confrontations with women. So maybe, I don't know, it could be like political fucking views or music taste, or even like the idea of like trying to take a girl home and she's like, "No, I just don't want to go home." And guys get a bit butthurt and it starts to turn into a confrontational interaction. If you find that you're doing that, then my advice here isn't going to be how to correct it. It's just going to be don't fucking do it. Like if you're the type of guy that finds yourself doing that, then reflect on it, work on it. You need to calm the fuck down. You need to not feel so entitled. And yeah, make sure you don't get into those positions to begin with.
I got to take off in a minute, but I'll just give my thoughts on this. You want to avoid having it become a logical debate, which is the rabbit hole a lot of guys go. It should be, you should always be like grounded, calm, and just fucking around. Like if a girl's trying to be confrontational and you're just like teasing her and making fun of her, like playfully, then you're going to be okay. But if you get butthurt, you're done. I'll just share a funny anecdote. I remember way back when, like 2019 or so, before Myron had Fresh and Fit, we went out to pick up girls together once, and I never went out with him again because I noticed that whenever he would go in like pretty confident, but as soon as the girl gave like the tiniest amount of pushback, he would like reach with the interaction. And so I would just be left there, and the girls are like, "What's wrong with your friend?" I'm like, I barely know him, but yeah. So yeah, you have to be able to handle some pushback, and you have to be able to kind of have fun with it. But yeah, the minute you get emotionally affected or butthurt, you're done.
Yeah, I'm the same way. If I get any type of resistance, I'm out. I'm done. So I don't argue with women. I don't play games with women. I only look for positive responses. If that's not happening, she's speaking to my breeze. So I don't know about like arguing with women. And now there's a difference between being playful about an interaction versus actually having a confrontation. So I want to make that clear. So like, let's say if I'm flirting with a girl and she's playfully saying something and we know that we're playing, that's one thing. But if it's something where the girl is, like being rude or giving negative energy, I just don't deal with her. You see what I'm saying? So for example, like if I'm talking to a girl and I introduce myself and I say, "Hey, what's your name?" And then she's like, gives me a stink look and she's like, "Why you want to know my name for?" And I look at her and I say, "You have a good night," and I walk away. So I don't deal with any of that type of stuff. I just don't do it.
I guess we differ on that. All right, guys, I gotta take off. It was fun chat. Thank you guys for having me on. I'll talk to you guys.
Bro. Take care, man.
Yeah, I would say me and Marcus can definitely see eye to eye that if you got a little bit of pushback from a girl and you just walked away, you practically wouldn't get laid in Australia. These girls love banter. Yeah, they love this shit. This is like their number one flirting tactic. They want to see if you're able to handle this shit. I know me and Marcus definitely experienced this once or twice together, fucking, going out. And yeah, it's crazy. You wouldn't get laid. You would basically be a virgin for the whole time unless you learn this banter, unless you learn this back and forth, this playfulness, not taking anything seriously. Just having fun, throwing it just as much back in her face, But it's all done with a joke and a smile. It's not done with anything serious or malicious.
Yeah, the amount of attraction you build, if a girl gives you a little bit of shit and you can show her like, "Hey, this didn't affect me at all. I'm not walking away. I'm not butthurt. And guess what? I can give a little bit of shit back." Like the minute you see that, that's why I say like these bratty girls that are after a dominant guy, right? They test. It's like if you're a girl in a club and you want a guy to be super masculine, super dominant, and you don't want to ask for it, the best way to do it is to give him shit, right? That is the best way to be able to find this out. And so, yeah, usually if you break that threshold with these girls, you just have like a lot of attraction. It's just they've screened out everyone else essentially.
Yeah, Dean, what's it like in Europe, right? Dean, you know it in Europe as well, in England.
Yeah, I fully agree with everything on this subject everyone said, and it's like the extra part I can add is you've got to distinguish what's the motivation behind the girl. And how does that stand with your values and your boundaries? Because if she's giving you playful shit or she's challenging you, do you do this to all the girls? Why are you talking to me? It's like, if that girl is staying and her body language looks soft and she's got a little slight smirk on her face, it's like, that's a genuine shit test. And a shit test, the way that you should be framing that and filtering that is that's a compliment. Because if a girl wasn't interested in you at all, she just wouldn't have any opinion about you at all, and she wouldn't want to be around you. So, if she's saying playfully derogatory things about you, or she's testing you, or she's challenging you, and she's not doing it in a malevolent way, then that's a compliment. So, the way you should be framing that is that's a win. That's like a green tick. You should be going along with that and not taking it personally. What makes that difficult is if your self-esteem is low, and a woman says something playfully disparaging, you're going to take that to heart. And then you're not going to recognize the fact that she's actually flirting with you or testing you. So, distinguish between, is it a playful insult? Is it a neg? Is it a challenge? Is it a shit test? If it is, then go along with that and be as unreactive to that as possible, and grab that and turn that into an even bigger joke. If she's actually being malevolent and she's telling you you're ugly and get the fuck out of here and I don't want to talk to you, whatever that is, it's like, just get out there, man, because that's just negativity. So have the boundary function to turn away and learn to say no to those type of situations. But I would say if a woman sat down with you, she's at the bar with you, or you're on a date and she's saying playfully challenging things, reframe that as a compliment. Because if she wasn't interested in you, if a woman's not interested in a guy, she just doesn't want to be around him. So the fact that she's engaged with you, even if she's framing the conversation like it's a little bit of a challenge, you should be taking that as a compliment. Like, oh, well, I'm building attraction. And I know I'm building attraction because this girl is testing me even more now. So you should be getting excited about that, not deflated. So I agree with what you guys are saying.
I would have a little counter to that, because when it comes to attraction, or when it comes to interest, because you're absolutely right. Like there is the interest there. The issue though is that there's high interest, medium interest, and low interest. And then there's also no interest. No interest is a woman don't want nothing to do with you, shouldn't want to talk to you, whatever. But high, medium, and low. So high interest is when a woman is 100% cooperative. She doesn't give you any shit. She doesn't talk back. She doesn't give you any attitude. She just goes, she basically follows your lead. Medium interest is what a lot of guys deal with, where women give you that shit. It's kind of like they're there, but they're kind of in the middle. Like they like you, but they're like, I'm gonna give him a little shit. He's okay, but I'm not fully interested. That's why I don't really deal with shit tests, because shit tests are for women who have medium interest in you. Then low interest is a woman who just basically wants your attention. The woman who want to put you in the friend zone. The women who want nothing sexual to do with you, but they will take your non-sexual attention. So I only deal with, or I would say only, but 99.99% of the time, I only deal with high interest women. That's why I don't deal with women who do shit tests, because a shit test is telling me that you are giving me some form of resistance, and any form of resistance is a form of disinterest. So there's something that she is disinterested in, which is why she is actually giving you the shit test. So women who are 100% into you they never shit test you. So I only deal with women who don't shit test, because all I do is I say something and they do it. And if they don't do it, I don't fuck with them. You see what I'm saying? So that's just how I do it. Because what happens is that if you're dealing with a woman who has medium interest and you continue to deal with her, then essentially you're chasing. This is what I was talking about earlier. You have to chase in order to get her to cooperate. Because if she was 100% interested, she would be cooperating without any hesitation or resistance. You see what I'm saying?
But then wouldn't you feel like you're settling if you're going for someone that's 100% interested all the time?
Yep.
No, because I'm basically saying I'm only rewarding women who reflect me. So if I see myself as the shit, I need you to see me as the shit, or else
they don't know you yet in the beginning. They have
this is the biggest thing. How much of them?
But that's what I'm saying. They do know me. So okay, check this out. Do you need to know a woman to know that you're attracted to her, or do you see the type of woman you're attracted to?
No, but you don't need to know a woman first, but that's why you approach her to talk to her, to get to know her, right?
Right. So what I'm saying is, when I have a conversation with a woman, right, the way that I talk, the things that I'm saying, my demeanor tells her the type of guy I am. So I'll give you a perfect example. I was at a bar once, and I went up to this girl and I was talking to her. She said something, I can't remember exactly what she said, but it was something kind of disrespectful. And I said, "You have a good night." So then she ran back to me. She said, well, "Hold on, what happened? What did I say?" Right? And I told her, I said, "Listen, I don't deal with women who talk to me like that." And then she apologized, and she was like, "I'm sorry." And then I was dating this girl for a few months. And basically what she said is the reason why she ran back is because she recognized and realized the fact that I walked away, that I'm not the type of guy to play with. That's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is that certain guys, women could do that, and the guy will still deal with her. And that's fine if that's what you want to do. I'm just saying that understand that the test happened because the woman does not see you as highly attractive, because if she did, she wouldn't try to test you in the first place. Because
I agree. Because this is the problem. You think that a woman knows exactly who you are after 10 seconds of knowing her. Now, this would sound crazy if we said it the other way around. If I told you after 10 seconds, I know I want to marry this girl and she's going to be my girlfriend or some shit, everyone here would laugh at me and be like, "Bro, you don't know a girl for months. Like, you need a long time to get to know her." Yet, You're here expecting a girl to know you after like 10, 20 seconds. Yes, she won't have huge attraction for you. Any girl with high standards isn't going to have a huge attraction for anyone to begin with, right? What they're going to do is they're going to test and they're going to get to know you. So yes, a girl might meet me and think, this guy seems kind of cool, but he seems like a bit of a fucking player, okay? So the next thing that might come out of her mouth could be something like, you say this to every girl, don't you? Right? It could be like, I don't think I want to talk to you, right?
Yeah,
it could be, she's going to test, right? Now, yes, there's times where if a girl's just like completely fucking disrespectful, you don't want to, reward that. You're going to ignore her. You might want to walk away. She can chase after her. I think what you did was great. But this all just sounds like you're protecting your ego. This all just sounds like you never want to show effort unless you know you're not going to get rejected. The minute you think there's a chance of rejection from a girl, you don't want to show any effort. It just seems like you're protecting your ego, to be honest. I think you're missing out on amazing girls.
Marcus, check this out. When you approach a woman, right? And I can tell you're very charismatic. You know how to talk. You're a wordsmith. I'm sure you got a good mouthpiece. When you approach a woman, right? Do you think that she thinks when you approach her that you're a nerdy, weird, insecure guy, or does she think that you're a guy who is kind of confident, is cool and calm and collected? Which one do you think she thinks you are?
So I've got feedback of every single girl I've slept with, and some that I weren't able to sleep with when I started out. Most of the time what girls say is they think I'm super confident and they think I'm good with women.
Right.
But sometimes that's not enough. A lot of the girls I've slept with, as Sam was mentioning, gave me a lot of shit to begin with. And what they told me is I wasn't attracted to you. They would say, like, I could tell you're very confident, right? They might even say arrogant at times. They could say, I tell you very confident, but they're like, I wasn't attracted to you. You're not my type. The funny thing is, someone mentioned about black guys. I've slept with a lot of Swedish girls that literally told me, like, I only sleep with black guys, right? That's the only, and then they sleep with me. So yes, they think I'm confident, but sometimes that's not enough.
Right, but Marcus, is what I'm saying. They know the type of guy you are. They don't have to know you personally.
But that's not enough. The type of guy isn't enough, right? They know I'm confident. It's not enough.
No. What I'm saying is the type of guy, right, will prompt her to respond a certain way. Just like, so if a guy who's kind of nerdy and weird and comes up to a woman and says, hey, hi, I'm sorry to bother you. I was just wondering. She's like, get this loser out of here. She might reject him harshly because she can.
She's probably going to be nice to him, to be honest. If you have like actually a very loser guy that comes up and he's like, hey, I just wanted to, they're probably just going to be like, hey, I'm really sorry. It's just a girl's night, right? They're not going to be mean. It's the guy that comes over that's confident. They're going to be like,
knows what fuck out of here. But what I'm saying is she has an idea of what type of guy he is, yes?
Yes, she has an idea of the type of guy. Yes, that could be completely wrong, but she has an idea of the type of guy, correct?
Right, so that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying she knows me personally. I'm saying she knows the type of guy I am.
Okay, so let's do a thought experiment, right? You come up and she thinks, damn, this guy's got some balls. He's confident, right? He's got some swag, right? That's what these girls are thinking. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Now, maybe she's like, but is this guy a bum? Like, does he even have a fucking job? Right? Maybe she's thinking, hang on, this guy called me sexy. He's probably said that to fucking every girl here. He's just desperate for sex. He can just, like, I could get it. He probably sleeps with some girls, but I reckon he's just like desperate for sex.
And why would she be thinking that? She would be thinking that because she's not into me. So what I'm saying is that if I'm talking to a woman, right, either she's going to be into me or she's not.
You're playing a numbers game. Cool. You go up, you're confident, you're playing numbers game. If that's what you're going to do it. But just call it for what it is. You're playing a numbers game.
Everybody's playing a numbers game. How do you not play a numbers game?
No, everyone is not playing a numbers game. What people are saying is we can go up to a girl, and all of us here, someone correct me if I'm wrong, all of us here think there's things we can do that create more attraction. Dean was talking about being more relaxed and having emotions that go onto the girl. Sam was talking about dealing with girls that are a little bit bratty and give you some attitude. We all think there's things we can do, right, that affect attraction. We all think that over time we probably build attraction with girls. I think all of us would say at the end of the night the girl is more into us than at the start of the night. It's because they get to know us more, and it's because they test and they ask questions and they find out. We need to be able to display these things to them. If you just go up and say you either like me or you don't, right? You're either 100% in or you don't. You're playing a numbers game at that point.
But it reminds me of like buying a house, and I kind of understand. This is my caveat, which is Brooklyn game, Australia game, London game. Like everyone's got a different style of game and a different thing, so they're all going to come up with their things. My understanding is that it's like when you buy a house, you just wouldn't just buy a house just like that, would you? Do you know, like, what's the number one thing you do when you buy a house?
You go inside and then you look around, right?
Yeah, which is you're seeing if it's thing. No. But the second thing, what's the second thing you do with a house?
Ooh, evaluation.
A pest and building inspection to make sure that the building doesn't have termites, doesn't have black mold, doesn't have water damage. And that's a big investment. That's a house. So with a girl, she has she could be raped, she could have all these other things, raped, whatever. So the reason why I think, from my perspective, that she does test is just to make sure the congruency of you present yourself to who you are, which comes down to the understanding. It's like, I understand that you want a girl that's 100% committed to you, but are you trying to get a girl that's saying no to every other guy and yes to you within a short amount of time?
No, I don't care what she says to. No, I don't care what she says to anybody else. I'm talking about what she says to me. So, Marcus, what I wanted to ask you though, real quick, you said you're not playing the numbers game, but you get rejected. Yes.
Yes, yeah, I get.
Well, then you're playing a numbers game. So what are you talking about? So what I'm saying?
No, there's a big difference here. There's a big difference. What I see is there's a numbers game. We could say we're playing a form of number game that is different. Okay, so your numbers game is, I'm going to go out and just do the exact same thing and I'm just going to show this 10-second thing. And unless a girl is 1,000% into me, I'm not going to put my ego on the line. I'm not going to try anything. I'm either going to take a girl that's really into me or I'm not, right? So you probably have a X amount % of time that this is going to work and it's not, and none of this gets improved or worsened. It's the exact same thing. You just go do this. Now, what I like to do is I go out there and I can say, like, 50% of the time, I might not get a good response to begin with. We can pick an arbitrary number. That's fine. I then don't do the numbers and say, well, I just need to approach 100 girls and 50 are going to be into me. I say, okay, those 50 girls that weren't into me, how come? What can I improve here? And what can I change? I start to change those things. I start to adapt those things. I let them know, find out more about me. Maybe I speak to the friend. So I turn those numbers from 50% to like 80% or 90% or 99%, whatever it might be. So your numbers are stagnant and the exact same. You protect your ego. Mine are adapting and evolving and improving.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you believe in submission?
What do you mean believe in submission?
I'm asking. Do you believe that a woman should submit to the man?
Depends it's such a loaded term. I believe in masculinity and femininity. I believe in dom sub dynamics. But I don't, it depends what you mean by submission. I don't expect to go up to a girl and her to say, you're a man.
No, and I do. That's what I'm trying to say. So what I'm saying is, in any dynamic, somebody is submitting to someone else. So what happens is in any situation, right? One person's leading and the other person's following. One person's setting and the other person's following. So when you approach a woman and she's basically saying, I am not going to go with your program, and you decide, well, you know what? I'm going to try harder to get her to come this way. You have essentially followed her program, which means you submitted to her.
I see the problem here. I see the problem. It's a mindset issue, right? Because you're missing the mindset from the behavior. You don't understand the difference. You're putting them into one. So the behavior here isn't chasing. The behavior here isn't being submissive. So when I ignore her and speak to the friend to build attraction, that's not a submissive behavior. I'm ignoring her, right? Just the same way when you said I walked away. Let me finish something. When you said you walked away from the goal, right? That wasn't a try hard behavior. That wasn't a now it worked, right? She came after you. Now, if I did the exact same thing, if I said my technique, okay, when a girl starts to give me a little bit of shit, I go to walk away because I know she's going to follow me. You're going to be like, bro, you're trying really hard because you're thinking about the mindset. The behaviors are exactly the same. So I focus on my behaviors because I never feel needy. I never feel submissive. My mindsets are fine. I don't have an ego around this. Whereas every time you try, your mindset tells you this is submissive. This is bad, right? I don't have that. So all I'm looking at is the behavior. The behavior of all the things I'm doing isn't chasing, it isn't submissive, and I am in control.
But no, you're not. But this is a different.
Hold on.
Real quick. When I walk
Sorry,
I'll give Locario 20 seconds to respond, and then we'll cut it there. Okay?
Sorry, I get excited. Okay, sorry.
Cool. But it's like, when I walk away, I'm not walking away to try to get her to chase me. I'm walking away because I'm done.
Exactly. I'm saying the mindset. So you're talking about the mindset.
Wait. I say something too? Let me go.
Okay.
Now, real quick, what I'm saying is that you're saying, well, I'm ignoring the girl by talking to her friend, and then that builds attraction for the girl to want to come back and chase and so forth and so on. What I'm saying is your action is an action of chasing because you're doing that for the effect of that. It's not like you said, hey, I talked to her friend.
That's the mindset.
No. That's what I'm saying. It's not like you said, I talked to her friend because she wasn't interested. I'm going to talk to her friend, and then she chased me.
You're talking about the mindset.
Okay, guys.
Locario, where are you
let's
from, by the
just
way?
arrange. Hold up.
All right,
Let's
we'll
just
arrange.
arrange
Locario,
a
we can talk
separate
about this.
debate for
I'm
this.
excited to talk about this.
Where are you
Let's
located,
let's
my
arrange a
friend?
separate debate. Let's fucking do it. I think it's an interesting discussion, but anyway, Aisen, what were you
I
gonna
was gonna
say?
ask him because I'm from Texas, and in the South we got horses, right? In the
Mm.
beginning, if you get on a horse like a Mustang, it's gonna buck you off,
Mm.
right? And then later on, you got to train him to be submissive to you. Kind of like with women in the beginning, they're not gonna, perceive you well if they don't know you. But then later
but
on, as they get to know you better,
But
they're
they
gonna
do
start
though.
liking
That's
you.
what I'm saying. Because when I meet women, I have women who cooperate. I don't like
Yes, the sixes that you're
Okay.
talking about.
no, but this is what I'm
Okay,
saying.
moving on.
Hey,
I'll
you
throw in a
say
fun
your
one.
sixes,
Let's
but
arrange a
you're
separate debate for this.
56.
This is fun.
And real quick, I'm sorry, real quick. Why do y'all think a hotter woman is harder to get? This is what I'm saying. Y'all put women on a pedestal, which is why y'all chase them.
Because she's hotter, she's more valuable, more guys are going after her. It's not a mindset thing. It's the way of the world. She's more attractive. She has more value.
Looks make her more valuable?
Yes.
Oh my
By
God.
definition, yes. We just spoke about this before. We said what makes people attractive. We said we look for looks more than men do. You literally said this.
I didn't say that. I don't think a woman's looks makes her valuable.
You don't care about looks at all.
Y'all do. I care about.
Damn, you don't care about looks at all.
No, I care about looks from a woman who's cooperating. If she's not cooperating, I don't give a fuck how she look. That's what I'm saying.
So
Cooperation.
you care zero about looks. You would take the most hideous, disgusting old lady as long as she's compliant.
No. If a woman is two women are attractive, I'm picking the one who cooperates. I'm picking the attractive.
Okay, so you care about looks though.
Huh?
You care about looks.
Yeah,
Looks impacts her value.
I
Yes.
care, no. I care about her being attractive to me because I'm going to be sexually attracted to her. What I'm saying though is if she's
I'm
sexually,
sorry, I did still talk. Otherwise,
wait. If she's sexually attractive, if she looks good, but she's not cooperating, I will not fuck with her. I would fuck with a woman who is less attractive than her, but cooperative. That's what I'm saying.
You're looking for submission.
What happened with the
Moving on.
relationship? That's my interesting thing. What happened with that relationship with that girl that was submissive? Why did it end in 2 or 3 months?
Which girl? Which one are you talking about?
The one you brought up as the example of the girl that completely chased after you, and then you said, and she was like, "Oh, I apologize, she did submit," and then 3 months later it ended.
No. So what happened was I ended it because she kept getting a little too needy and clingy. So I just was like, "You gotta chill." And
the girl that's submissive that does everything for you is too needy.
Yeah, she got a little too needy.
How does that work?
Don't you like that? Don't you want a girl to be 100% submissive, 100% into you, 100% chasing you?
Right. And she needs to be following my lead. So when I tell her, when I say don't call me today and you call me, I'm not fucking with you. So she was not being submissive. What I'm trying to say.
Damn.
Yeah, it wasn't submissive.
This is interesting though. Okay. No, that's okay. I got a lot to, yeah, that's interesting. Whatever, moving on. Yeah, let's go for a fun one. What's a particularly funny story each of you can give that's related to game? Maybe it could be a date that went horribly wrong or something weird that happened.
I have a date that went kind of wrong. It's actually my friend's date. So I was having dinner with a buddy, and then he sees us. He's like, "Hey, are you guys in this area?" I'm like, "Yeah." I have a date with me. You want to go to this bar later? And then we end up meeting at the bar, got a table, and then I was looking for him for like half an hour, and I give him a call. Hey, what happened? Where you at? He tells me he leaves. He left. And then I was like, hey, your date's still here though. What do I tell her? Because he's like, oh man, this date is so boring. I'm gonna ditch you guys. Sorry. And then ended up having to drive her back to my place. And then I just left her there. She fell asleep. This was probably like 3 a.m. in the morning now. And then I went fishing with my buddies, and this was around like 5 or 6 now. And then my friend was asking me, hey, what happened to that girl that was with us earlier? I was like, oh shit, she's still in my place. So we rushed back, get back home at 8 o'clock. She's still there sleeping. I'm like, thank God. Because I was scared that she's gonna, throw up everywhere or steal my shit. But luckily, nothing bad happened.
Nice.
Damn, I'm trying to think of which story.
Well, I had a story that happened like a couple of months back. So I DM this girl on Instagram. She comes, she's from Colorado. She's out in LA. I asked her on some date, and I was actually catching a flight to Miami. So I was like, all right, well, I'll catch a lunch date, which I don't usually do, but I'll do a lunch date with her. She brought a friend, which was quite interesting. because usually I don't do that. But this one, I kind of really screened and qualified. And that other girl was interested, and she was the one that was more interested on the day, which is quite interesting. Anyways, long story short, not what I usually do. Took her to the date, took a thing. We're hitting it off like fire. It's really, really good. I was like, damn, this is good. I might have to like change my flight. I was like, you know what? I might change my flight. So I'm in the middle of that, and then they get a FaceTime by like a person that I liked as a rapper, and like Tiger FaceTimes them. And the day was going great, and I'm like, oh, motherfucker, here we go. Shit's about to go sideways. It did. He's like, yo, girl, you should come out to Mexico. I'll send a private jet for you. And I'm like, oh man, this is just going from like a fucking 9 out of 10 date. I'm in the process on Expedia, changing my dates. I'm like, thank fucking Christ it happened, because I didn't change my flight. Girls got super pissed they didn't have a passport. It just went downhill from there. But that was quite funny. Yeah, as that literally happened, not that long ago. So that was kind of a funny one. And again, you've been in the game so long, those things don't even bother you. They bother like the normal guy. You're just laughing. You're just like, oh man, that's a funny time.
Yeah, I'll say well, I had this date. We on the date, everything's cool. We just talking, flirting, or whatever. And just out of the blue, the girl just starts crying uncontrollably, like tears, all that other stuff. And I'm like, and so I'm shocked. I'm like, what's going on? And I touch her shoulder to kind of like calm her down. And we were in like a low key bar where you can still hear people talking. So like when I touched her shoulder, she was like, "Get the fuck off of me!" Like really loud and shit, right? So people kind of looking like, "What the fuck?" And I'm surprised. I'm at this point I'm like nervous a little. So then she wipes her tears, then she's staring into space for like 30 seconds. And then she starts talking to me again regular. Like, and I'm like, okay, this is weird, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just talking to her regular again. And 5 minutes later, tears start coming out. I said, listen, seems like something's going on, something's wrong. I'm gonna get you a car and you could, get you a car to go home. So she goes home and then she sends me a text, long text. Hey, I had a really great time. This is one of the best dates I've had in a while. We should get together again next week. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I just left on red and didn't respond to her. So till this day, I don't know what was going on with her. So who knows? You know what I'm saying?
Bipolar or some shit. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that.
So I don't know.
I got two that stand out for me. The first one was I had a flatmate who I was living with who was pretty good with chicks, and we went out to a club, and I started talking to one girl. He's talking to another. They don't know each other at all, and we end up back at my flat. We're having drinks, we're playing music, and we get a little bit merry and a little bit drowsy. And there comes a point in the night. It's about midnight, 1 a.m, and I look at my flatmate and I was, "Where's the girls gone?" Like they disappeared. I was like, we're playing music, talking. It's like, where? They've been gone a while. Like where? So we end up opening up the bathroom door, and they're both led on the floor, half naked, licking each other's lemons. So that was that was one that was pretty funny.
Interesting.
Yeah. The second one was a holiday in Cyprus, and I'm chirping this girl all night. I'm chatting her up. There's a lot of connection. And it gets to the typical pool time, like 1 or 2 a.m. She's like, "Do you want to come back to my hotel?" And I thought, yeah, why not? It's my first night in Cyprus. So we're in the living room, we're on the sofa, and I'm banging away. And I'm like, "Why don't we go in the bedroom?" And this is like literally halfway through. So my husband's sleeping in the bedroom. And I was like, what the fuck? Like her husband was next door, while all this is going on. And I was just like, pulled up my pants, got out of there, left. Yeah, those are my two strange stories about that.
Yeah,
Damn. These girls, bro. Fuck, Ash, you've stolen all my. You keep asking me for stories. All right, I'll give you a consent story. All right, real exciting. Essentially, I had met these two South American girls separately. One was Cold Approach, one was Tinder. We like fuck buddies essentially. And so I set up a threesome with both of them. I thought, okay, I think they'll get along. This will be fun. It'll be cool. And like every fucking threesome that you set up, the two girls spend the first half an hour just like chatting, getting along. These two girls actually now best friends, like they live together. And it's always the case. the girls together. They're worried. I think it's because they're worried about rejection from each other that they overcompensate by being like really super friendly and nice. So yeah, anyway, they get along really well. And they have a chat outside about, we're gonna eat each other's pussy, like blah blah shit. Then we get into the bedroom. And one girl's like pretty inexperienced, and one girl's very experienced. And so the very experienced girl, like, she's into BDSM. So I've got her tied up and I'm got my like flogger out and I start like flogging this girl. And the inexperienced girl is looking over like, what the fuck is going on? She's like, oh my God. Because the sex with her was like it was more chill. And she's starting to get like a little bit freaked out. And then the next thing that happens is I'm like wrapping my hand around this, I'm like choking her. And the inexperienced goes, stop, 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 stop. She's like, wait, 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 wait. Like, look over. She's like, what? She looks at my girl. She's like, do you consent? Girl lying down. Yes. What do you mean? Yes. She's like, okay, I'm just checking. It's like, bro, we just start like burst out laughing. But she was like, so it's like a little kid watching a horror movie for the first time or something. But yeah, good times. There's another story for you guys.
That's fucking funny. Anyone else? I wasn't keeping track. Alrighty. I'll just like briefly throw in one. It's not that interesting, but yeah, if I remember, there was like a long story short, a woman came up to me in the club and she was with her friend, pulled them to a place I was staying at, and after uh they left, I took him to it. Well, they wanted to go to McDonald's at like 5 a.m. in the fucking morning or something. Had some McDonald's breakfast, threw up, uh, went back to the place. And this place was some shit place when I was like super new to London. And the walls were like built in such a shit way. They were like wooden walls to separate this big room into like two rooms so they could like sell more rooms for like a Jewish fucking landlord or some shit to make more money. There were free Italian guys in the other room, and the walls were so shit you could just like look through this gap between the wooden fucking panels. It was that fucking bad, and you could hear everything that was going on in the other fucking room. So anyway, as I was going back into the room, these three Italian guys opened the door and said, come in," and they wanted to talk to me, like some ridiculous hour in the fucking morning. And they pulled out a plate of cocaine, and I never seen cocaine in my entire life or since. I'm not a fucking drug guy. I may look like I'm on drugs all the time, but and I've been asked by bouncers, "Are you on drugs?" I'm just like, "No, I just look like this." And anyway, they pulled out this fucking plate of cocaine. I was like, "What the fuck?" And they started celebrating, snorting all this cocaine off this like China plate. I was like, what the fuck is going on? It's like I'm so yeah, just like Marcus was saying, I'm like a kid watching a horror movie. All this shit is new to me, and they offered me cocaine. I was like, no, I'm not ever gonna fuck with that shit. But I just like watched them snort it. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And they were asking me about everything. That was just a weird fucking experience.
This is the
Dealing
second
with
mention
that.
of cocaine ice. Is there something you want to tell us, bro? Like
Eh,
an
no,
addict
no, 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 no.
there or
I forgot to
no?
mention though, while I was pulling them to the place, one of them started like grabbing my balls from behind for some on waiting for the underground train on the platform. There was some guy just like staring at me like, what the fuck is he okay? And the other one was just like fully making out with me while the other one was grabbing my balls aggressively behind. I was like, is she fucking trying to rob me or some shit? They were just fucking playing around. Anyway, yeah, that's just a fucking weird one. But anyway, next question. Yeah, I definitely don't do drugs. And if you think I'm lying, I'm not lying. I'm just normally pretty fucked in the head anyway.
Yeah.
What's your method for dealing with competition from other guys in that game?
Competition? What's competition? What?
Yeah, like Mr. Locario, you are so in your own universe of things. I
Yeah,
love it. You're in your own universe with like your own definitions and stuff.
I'm
I would
saying.
love to explore how your world is working because that's somewhat relatable to me. But yeah,
I'll see how y'all talk about it. I'm trying to learn. I'm like competing for a chick. Is that what we
No, we'll
talking
teach you, bro. We'll teach you. So I think the
about?
first thing guys need to understand is I assume he's worried about people or men coming into his set. So he's talking to a girl and then like someone else coming in. I think the first thing you need to be aware of is how it looks from the outside. So if you look like you're getting receptiveness of a couple of like hot girls and you're not appearing very attractive or very dominant, a lot of guys will see this and be like, if this guy can talk to him, fuck, these girls might be easy. I'm going to go talk to him too. So you need to have a dynamic in the interaction where you're looking a little bit more masculine, you're looking a little bit more dominant as you speak to the girls, or it looks really obvious that these girls are chasing you. So something like old school, like being locked in and the girls kind of facing you and talking to you. So that's the first thing. If you notice this is happening a lot, it's probably the way it looks from the outside. Now, two, if they do come in and they do say something, you want to take control right away. If it's obvious that this is some guy that doesn't know the girls, like maybe he comes up and he's like, hey, I think you're cute or something. I just put my finger up and I'll be like, hey, bro, 1 second. And then usually the guy just waits there and then you keep talking to the girl. Now it does look really chasey if he has to come in again. Hey, bro, just hang on 1 second. Just let me finish. And then he has to come in again. It's just going to look really chasey. And then at some point you look to the girl and be like, do you know this guy? She's like, no. You're like, bro, like, go away. Right? We're talking. Now, that's one thing you can do. Be careful because if this is a friend, okay, this is like the girl's fucking gay best friend or some shit, or like her brother. And then you're like, bro, 1 second, you're really rude to him. You just fuck the interaction because she's always going to choose him. So if you're unsure, the guy comes in, hey, do you guys know each other? No. Okay, 1 second. And then you can go from there. So yeah, basically summarize, look more confident in your set. Find out who the guy is. If it's just a random, tell him to wait. And then you can keep talking to the girl.
all right.
That's a good explanation. I think with you said how to deal with competition. I guess is this from a cold approach perspective, from a social circle perspective, literally every guy that you surround yourself with, all your friends should be not competition, but should be so high level that it makes you strive to be the best version of yourself. I think a lot of the time guys want to be like, oh, how do I get? It's like there'll always be other, as I said, there's always, I tweeted about this the other day. There's always someone that's taller, richer, stronger, more good looking than you. It's your ability has to be defined your edge. The thing that makes you more different than anybody out there. And so I think a lot of guys that have this, they don't know what their edge is. They don't know what sets them apart. And I think um, uh, if you start to really hone this skill, you'll get to the mindset where there's no other competition because you know exactly what you bring to the table per se, or who you are as a person. So I think a lot of the time these guys are having this competition, and again, if it's already registering in your head, a lot of the time, then you automatically have fallen into the frame that they are better than you. When really, in fact, if you're on your shit, you don't really give a fuck. And I remember something that Bill Zerian was talking about, which was that, a girl's got to also, a girl that you're seeing has to also handle her shit as well. You can't be responsible for every like 50 guys trying to hit on that girl. She's got to have some sort of responsibility to be able to, if she's with you, to be able to, defend them. You also have to have the ability and be the leader to also cut things off that need to be cut off as well. So it's kind of a two-way street in that. If it's going to the cold approach style, what Marcus said was right on the money.
Yeah, I don't really, I guess I don't believe in competition because like I know I like Big Macs and I never got a Big Mac from Burger King, Wendy's, In-N-Out Burger. I gotta go to McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? So if I like Big Macs, there's only one place I could go. So if a chick like this Big Mac, she got to come here. So I just don't even worry about that. So I've been in situations where I'm talking to a girl in a spot, and then another guy comes into the conversation. I bring the guy into the conversation. All three of us are talking, and I can tell the guy is interested in the girl. I'll walk away. I'll be like, hey, you guys should get together. You know, you guys seem cute, and I'll walk away a lot of times. And so what happens is that the girl, if she's interested in me, sometimes she might find me. You know what I'm saying? After she finished talking to this dude. So it's like I don't really engage in that. I'm just doing my thing, and I'm not really worried about him, her, or none of that shit. I'm just not.
Yeah, that's the ideal situation to be in. You know, when you're saying you don't really worry and you walk away and you've got the abundance to be able to say you guys look like you would get on well. That's the ideal. But for guys who are taking girls out their cold approach and they're worried about the competition, it's like you've got to commit yourself to being as non-reactive as possible, because the guy that's reacting is the one that's going to lose the attraction. The person who looks more concerned and more serious and more in need is the one who's going to lose the girl. So when the alpha comes over and he's highly confident and he's sexually communicating, if that's affecting you, but even if the girl is showing that guy signs of attraction, you've got to make a commitment that you're not going to react to that. You're not going to get defensive, because if you do, you're going to lose her. And you've got to have it within yourself to focus on. Your mind is going to get paranoid, and your mind is going to think that just because this guy is getting attraction off the girl, he's going to end up taking her away. But you've got to assume that if you've had a connection with her and you're getting physical and you're having a nice conversation, you've got to assume that she's into you, and be as non-reactive as possible. Because if you show weakness and you show signs that it's affecting you, that guy is going to, it's going to be a trade-off between the two of you. And if that guy sees that he's getting to you, and the fact that he's busting and he's trying to AMOG you is like affected you, that's going to temporarily validate him and cause him to be more confident, which is going to enable him to be more charismatic around that girl. So your job is to just focus on you having fun, being non-reactive, and be willing to lose that girl. You know, have the mindset that your focus when you're in that club, when you're in that bar and you're talking to that girl, the number one focus is not getting or keeping that girl. It's having a great time and getting in that expressive mood, because that's going to aid you in when that woman looks around. If she can see that you're not in that reactive state, she's more likely to stay with you rather than move on to another guy. Because women are comparing. They're looking at which guy cares the less, which guy's the most confident, which guy's having the most fun. So if you're letting that stifle you, you're letting that cause you to feel insecure, she's going to notice that. That's when you're going to lose her.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Dean as well as Marcus and Locario. So the thing is, but I do have a question though. Why would you want to leave halfway if you're talking to a girl that you're interested in and she seems to be interested in you, just because the guy comes over? Why would you want to leave out of the conversation?
Oh, I mean, I just do it. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't like, okay. So basically, if a dude is like, I can tell when the guy is interested in a girl. So I'll be like, you get her, because there's a billion other girls I could talk to. Like, I'm not attached to this woman at all. It's like, but I see he's really into her. So in a lot of times, I'm not really into a woman until she showed me consistent cooperation anyway. So that hasn't happened. So she means nothing to me at this point. So what I'm saying is that because he's so excited, I'll be like, hey, go do what you got to do. Now, so what'll happen sometimes is she may not be interested in him like that, and she might be interested in me. So then if she comes back, I might entertain it and then continue to talk to her. But what I'm saying is that I kind of like I can tell he's more interested in her than I'm interested in her. So I'm like, why would I be trying to keep getting at her when I know he wants her more? Like, it don't even make any sense. Like, take her. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't give a shit. So that's kind of like my attitude with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But what if that happens a lot, right? You go to the next girl and then someone else comes over. You can't just go home by yourself. Try to just leave, right?
I can do that all night. There's a billion women in the club outside.
Well,
you know?
not necessarily. Not necessarily. There are clubs where there might be only like 5 or 10, and it might be later on in the night, and it might be, say, like 12:30. The club closes at 1. And what are you gonna? I'm just understanding. Is this something that you would do later on in the night? Like, let's just say you had a time period, right? You've been chatting with her. You've got about 20 minutes. They're not that much trying to build a massive amount of, just social capital with a new girl.
Yeah, but I talk to a girl for like 2 minutes, and if she down, if she ain't, then I move on. But the thing is, I have like
How many girls do you talk to per night, if that's the case?
like it depends. If I go to like let's say I might talk to one girl, and that one girl is ready, and I just go. I might
So what time's that? Like what's an average? Like you
like
go out there at 10 and
probably
10:02, you got
yeah.
the
So like I
girl.
get there, I get there at 10, and then I talk to her for maybe like 5 minutes, 10:05. You feel what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Listen, let's get the fuck up out of here, and then she'll go with me. You see what I'm saying?
And what if the first thing's like, which is a pushback, like, oh, well, I came here like with 5 friends, I just can't leave, and we just got here like 5 minutes ago.
And then I'll
But
sell her.
which is a genuine, which is just a genuine thing. That's just a human being thing. You like if you came with 5 friends, you wouldn't just ditch them after
Right,
five
and I'll
minutes.
just give her my number and say, "Hey, well, holler at me later tonight or whatever," and then talk to another girl. So what I'm saying is, there's an abundance of women. So either if I'm fucking with a girl in the club, cool. If I don't, girl outside, cool. If not, I got 10, 15 girls on the phone. You know what I'm saying? Like if I really wanted to make something happen that night. So what I'm saying is, I'm not holding on to any one particular girl or any one particular situation because I don't care because I know I'm gonna make whatever I want to make happen. That's why I don't really like. That's why I don't try to deal with women who resist because I know there's
So
a bunch who won't.
what if it's like a date? What do you do with the date situations where she's like, I gotta work? I'm
Oh,
sorry, but she lists
like,
another date. She lists another date, but like, I gotta work. I'm sorry, I can't. But
so
then
my,
she lists another date.
so
Yeah, just
my,
like a date. So if we take away from the club more to the date scenario, what's the kind of the mind frame there, the mindset?
oh, so if I'm actually on a date with a woman,
No. Like you're trying to set up a date. Obviously, you got the girl 5 minutes. She's with her friends, and
Mhm.
then later the next day you're chatting, and you're like, "Let's do this," and then she's like, "I can't do that. I got work on, but we could do it this day."
Oh yeah,
Is
I'll just
that are you seeing that as like because they could be seen as like that's not 100% full commitment. Like for some cultures, they're like they want the girl to take that day off work to go see them, and that's 100% submission.
no. So what I'm saying is that I'll pick a day that we're both free, and
Mhm.
then I want her to come through that day. Now, if I pick that day and we're free and she's free and she's being resistant to that, meaning let's say I say, you free Friday, and then she says, well, yeah, but I don't really feel like coming out Friday because I'm just gonna stay in and like chill. Nah, we're done. But if she's like,
Yeah, I
oh,
mean, listen, everything Locario does is basically a fallback of protecting ego, avoiding rejection.
it's
So
not
if a
about
guy comes up
ego.
and
That's
talks
what I'm
to his
saying. It's
girl,
not about ego. That's what I'm trying
let me explain. Let me explain. So if a guy comes up and talks to your girl, if you stay in, you're trying, right? It's way more effort to amorg a guy, get rid of a guy. If this guy's really, really into the girl and you're staying, that means you're also really, really into the girl. That has to feel. So you walk
I
away.
don't care. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, I wish I could show you how much I don't care. That's what I'm
But
trying to
that's
say.
the problem. That's the problem. You convince yourself you don't care. So
No,
then
no, but
there's
I
no
don't.
hurt. There's no rejection. If you don't care, you never get rejected. That's
Bro,
that's
I get
the that's what you're
rejected
doing.
all the time. I get rejected all the time. I'm saying
But you don't care because you never tried, right? Look, when I used to be in school, I never fucking studied because if I failed that exam, guess what? It didn't matter. I didn't really study for the exam. There's an excuse there. If you never try with a goal, you never really fail, right? That's the problem here.
Trying is going up and approaching
Sorry,
and
I love you.
talking. That's what I'm saying. It's going up and talking and then say, hey, let's exchange numbers. He says, actually, I'm not interested. Boom, we're done. I already
And what do you
tried.
tell yourself? I'm curious. What do you tell yourself? What's your mindset right there? So you go up, you say, hey, you're sexy. She goes, not interested. What do you tell yourself?
Nothing. I just walk away.
No, there's something. What do you tell yourself? How do you describe that situation? What's the narrative there?
That's what I'm saying. There's nothing. Either
the narrative is I don't give a fuck anyway. That's the narrative. The narrative is like I never even wanted to approach her anyway. I don't even care.
That's what I'm saying. I don't give a fuck if it goes either way. I'm good.
Exactly. You're protecting your ego. Is all it is. Protecting ego.
I think I'm understanding where Mr. Locario is coming from. So I remember a few guys, maybe, and I said this before, maybe it's more of like an African game thing because I remember guys. No, follow me on this. Just bear with me. I'm a fucking redneck. It's different. But I remember in London, I would see these guys and they would have a similar strategy. They're going to women and they're not messing around. I don't know how to explain it, but that would basically have these minor interactions, and then they would dismiss those interactions and just move on until something hits
Didn't matter anyway.
in a more easy way. But I don't think it's an ego thing, but merely they're just looking for the one who will
Cooperate?
come quickly. Yeah, I
So basically,
suppose.
so I understand. So Marcus, because the reason why you don't understand, I think, is because you give a shit about the women. I only give a shit about the women once they're following my lead. That's the only time I give a shit about a woman.
Maybe it's
Okay.
not the
It's
women,
not
but the
the.
interaction
All
more
right,
so.
I'm curious. I'm curious. If you had a student, okay, if you had a student that would go up to like most girls and he was just not building attraction, okay, and he tries to be confident and he tries to fix his fashion and he's just not building attraction, okay. I'm curious. Like, what advice would you give this guy? I'm curious.
What does it mean to build attraction?
He's okay. Let's not use attraction. Let's use compliance. He goes up to these girls and he's not getting compliance. So the girls just don't really seem interested. They kind of give like some one-word answers. They kind of are just like a little bit dismissive. Like it's not always like a super harsh rejection, but like maybe he gets into like 5-minute interactions with some girls and they're like, oh, we're gonna go with our friends now. Like I'm curious, like what advice would you give this guy?
So it depends. So if he's getting those reactions based on the fact that he's nervous to approach women and he's muffling his
No, he's
words
not nervous. He's
down,
not nervous.
so he's confident he's doing everything that he needs to do right, right?
Well, he's not doing everything he needs to do, right? He's confident enough. Like he's not like crippled with AA and like hello, but he's going up and he's having like platonic conversations. They're average, right? Average looking dude, and like most average guys with average confidence and average skill, it's not going that well. Would your advice be more confident and come off as more charismatic? I'm curious. Like, what do you tell this guy?
Right. So what I would do is I would need to see where he's deficient in his skill and then help him with that skill. Once he's become better at the skill, then what will happen is that now it's time to find the women who cooperate. So what I don't do is I don't see is shout out to my this is my dude Steve Dedeen. He talks about it. He says one way, one mind. So there's no switching up, changing, pretending, being something you're not for a woman, period. You see what I'm saying? So what it is that this is who I am. This is how I do shit. You either with it or you're not. Now, if you're with it, then we could continue. If you're not, then I ain't fucking with you. It's that
That's
simple.
me then.
Okay, hold up.
I agree with what these guys were saying about if a girl's giving you a shit test, it doesn't mean that she's medium interest. In fact, if a girl's particularly hot and she gets approached a lot, she needs to make sure that that guy is the real deal. So when he's approaching her, she needs to, even when you're on a date, if a girl's asking questions, that's a shit test in a way because she wants to find out about you. So if she's giving you shit tests to make you prove yourself, to show that you are actually that confident guy that she hopes that you are, that's not like medium interest. That's actually high interest because she wants to solidify and verify that you are the guy that she's about to invest in. A shit test really is no different to a question when you're on a date with a girl. She wants to find out more about you. She wants to verify that you're the real deal. So I disagree in that way that if a woman shit testing you, she's not fully invested. It's a pretext and a prerequisite for seeing if she wants to invest. So that's a green light. That's a good sign. And how you deal with that shit test determine how much more she invests in you. That's what I would say about that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's like sales, you know what I mean? If the prospect ain't doing anything, ain't saying anything, ain't got any queries, you've got to bring it up almost because you know that it's going to come up one way or another. So yeah, no, 100%. But at the end of the day, I think it's just different context. Like everyone has learned game differently, and I think that's where we have to come in and be like, okay, well, there's definitely differences within learning it in this suburb, at this place. Like for us, Mr. Locario, like shit tests are a part of life. We get them from the day we're brought up, like from school, from everything. So from us in Australia, this is just what we have to deal with. So if we adapted that would be like us being still virgin. So we've had to like adapt, but then I've gamed in New York, so I can understand that sort of philosophy. And that's why I travel around the world, specifically because I've tried to mold my game on what works around the world and what are kind of the universal principles. And I can understand how different segments of the world you have to kind of mold and be a little bit of a chameleon in those parts for sure. 100%.
Yeah, I definitely agree with these guys. Shit tests are good, depends on your perspective. And I'm coming from a Asian, Eastern European background. If you're in Russia, girl's supposed to shit test you. And she's gonna ask you like, why do I want to go out to dinner with you, right? What's the point of that? What can you provide? And that's a good thing because in the beginning they might be a little standoffish, but they're gonna be, like you said, more submissive throughout the dating period. So it's actually a good thing because they want to make sure that you are who you say you are and that you are actually a confident person.
Well,
Hey
I got
guys,
to head out.
it's
Yeah,
I'm
man.
going to leave now, guys, because it's after midnight in the UK. So I'm
But this was fun, man. This
Okay.
is definitely, man. Appreciate all you guys on here, man. Appreciate y'all coming through. Ice White, appreciate you having me, man. You know what I'm saying? This is a good discussion. Last thing I'm gonna say is remember the student is not supposed to test the teacher. That's all I'm saying. But I'm gonna be out of here, man.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you
Thanks
for having
doing
us, Ice White.
Cheers,
Appreciate
man.
it.
I guess yeah, Locario. Oh, he bounced, motherfucker. I was gonna say we'll set up a date, we can chat about it more. But
Yeah,
he's
let's do it, debate. That would be fun.
Oh,
I
anyway,
would love to know
yeah.
more about his man.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks guys. It's been good. Thanks guys for organizing everything.
Already, no worries. Yeah.
Monday, anyone staying on? Ice, I'm staying on. I kicked
Yeah,
I'm
there we
like
go.
5 hours.
Oh, we're
Mr.
still
Ice
going?
Yeah, bro.
I gotta dip. I gotta go to
canceled
dinner in a
5
bit. But yeah,
hours.
see y'all later. It's nice
you,
talking
brother.
with everybody.
You too, brother.
Take care.
Thanks. Thanks for
Bye.
coming.
take it easy,
Marcus,
guys.
see you, boss. You should know that, Marcus. It's fucking 5 hours with Ice every time.
I
I got a
get
call in 35 minutes, so I'm gonna go eat. But what the fuck? I should gotta set up a debate between us two.
Ice, I wanna
we
be,
already
you know,
got one
I-
scheduled with you and Eric again. Yeah, we
But
got
then
two
we can-
debates fucking scheduled now
Yeah.
with just you.
Yeah, I mean, if you're happy to. If not, I can just ask him to come to my channel.
No,
But
that's
if
good.
you-
That's good. Let's
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
do it.
I love to be. I'm liking that shit because to mediate the both of you is fucking fun as fuck. I'm just like, oh man,
Yeah,
I can see
you're
both-
being nice at the end. No, it depends what city you're in. No,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
this
I'm like, but because he
bro,
reminds me of
bro.
Myron Gaines
Yeah,
a lot.
100%. That's Alex mentioned it. Alex mentioned,
Yeah,
like,
that's
hey,
what
we
he's
went to the
got.
club. Anytime you got any resistance, he walked away. Girls are like, why is this girl
Mm.
so weird? It feels really butthurt. You saw him say, like, I don't even care about looks. He literally, the only thing, he's so scared of rejection. The one thing that matters most to him is having a girl just to say yes. And it's not liking him for him. It's anything like that. He says within 10 seconds, I'm just looking for anyone that's not going to reject me. Right now, he can use the word compliant and 100% into me. What he's really saying is I'm looking for a girl that has a 0% chance of rejecting me. And if she rejects me, it's going to be right away and I'm going to forget about it. I'm going to move on. Doesn't even matter. It's
Marcus,
fucking wild.
remember what we used to talk about them, the low-hanging fruit, the sacrificial
there's a
lamb?
hard
Like,
low-hanging fruit.
remember those ones?
Yeah.
That's the girl that he's
Oh
getting.
my
Like the
God.
low-hanging fruit just said yes,
Crazy.
like absolutely. But my thing, because I'm obviously like so in tune, the way he dismissed the real estate analogy, like
Right.
that, bro, I was just like, brother, you didn't even like that. So the real estate analogy was like actually like just crushed his point
Yeah.
about,
Yeah,
of course, you
makes
do
sense.
it, but you know, like if a girl doesn't give you a little bit of like, is he like, she will go with everybody. Her body count's probably 500,
Yeah.
1,000, because she's saying yes to every guy. So it's
But
like,
all he cares about is not getting rejected. That's it. All right, boys. Thank you so much. Ice. We'll see you at the next debate.
crazy.
Next
Yeah,
two.
thanks for having us on. Hey, by the way, if I'm getting like if this is like not entertaining and is getting like fucking annoying, just DM me because I can't shut the fuck up. So feel free to tell me to shut the fuck up. It's not a problem. But all right.
No,
It
no-
is
normally
entertaining. That's why.
I intend on the panels on being friendly, but I was like, let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
But
That's-
it's an opportunity for a debate. If I shut it down too early, then nobody would have recognized that this would be a good debate to have on a
Yeah.
separate occasion. So
Easy.
sometimes
Yeah,
you
just
gotta
feel
let
free
the
to-
chaos come through.
Perfect. Yeah, true. All right. Well, yeah, just feel free to tell me shut the fuck up if you need to. All right. Catch you, boys. Thanks. Bye-bye.
It's like no worries.
Nice. Thanks for having me, brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah, are you staying on a little more?
Yeah, man. I'm more than happy
We could
to,
do
my
it.
man. I got half an hour. Yeah, for my article. Yeah.
You're not far. Anyway, I was thinking the way I understand, I come from a very white place. White
Sure.
people everywhere, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I'm understanding it when coming to London, things were very different. Like I went on a date with actually before I say that, I met like this random African guy from Ethiopia or some shit. And he like gave me his business card at a club and he invited me to the VIP tables. African game is kind of different. And I actually learned a little bit of like how they do it. I didn't try to replicate it or anything, but I just ended up in those situations because I was new to London and I was like, oh, this is kind of different. But anyway,
Yeah.
invited this Tinder match to some events that this particular guy was putting on. I showed up, me showing up, my redneck ass, I showed up the minute it opened, 10 p.m., and nobody showed up until midnight. That's one of the differences I observed. I was like, oh, white people, we come early. African people, they come at fucking midnight or some shit.
What are they
So
over here? Over here, they call it Latin, like Latin time, which is party starts at 7, it
whenever.
really starts at 10. Yeah,
Yeah. So the way that's funny because I'm in Peru right now. My wife
yeah,
is from Peru. In a social circle setting, me and Joe set up like this lunch a few years back here in Lima,
sure.
and nobody was on time.
Yep.
Only Joe was on time, basically, and maybe like one or two girls or some shit. Even I was late by 40 minutes. There's something about South America that just affects everything.
South American
And
time.
I'm a
Yeah,
very on time guy. I like to be on time.
good.
But
Yeah, no, it happens, man. There's different cultures, different things, and that's how different. Well,
that's not the worst part. That
Mhm.
some girls showed up 2 hours late for
Of course,
lunch.
yeah,
Like, would
crazy.
we
2
still
p.m. Yeah,
fucking be there? Like, we were still fucking going, but two fucking hours late. That's how
yeah,
crazy it is. So I explained to other people, Peru does not time does not exist in Peru. It's like the fucking going back to the 90s here. The cars
yeah,
are from the 90s a lot of the time. It's like traffic is like bumper cars and shit like that.
yeah,
Time does not exist in Peru. Nobody wears watches.
yeah.
And there are no clock towers. You don't see a clock in any fucking building in any fucking room. Time does not exist in Peru. It's
Crazy.
kind of the same for Colombia, I imagine. I only went
Yeah, a
there
little bit, a little bit. Yeah, yeah.
hours.
It's like anything. They're all very much the same. But I think for the people watching, you got to see a clash of cultures just then, which was really interesting. And
Hmm.
I've studied it for a lot of years, which is, yeah, man. Like it really does. With the teachers around the world, they all teach different things because they come from different places as well. You know,
Yeah,
so
that's
that's what's
the
going to
funny
happen.
thing. My
Yeah,
white ass showing up at 10 p.m. and I was like,
exactly.
God, what the fuck am I gonna do for all this time? I
Too.
didn't know like when the others would show up, but for two
Of
hours, I
course.
was just like, fuck, I gotta entertain her and everything. She was a hot Romanian woman in a sexy red dress and red heels and everything. She was very nice and
100%.
everything, but she got bored because I had 2 hours and I was new to this shit. And I was like, God
Yeah.
damn, I don't know what to do
What
anymore.
am I gonna
And then
do?
everyone, hundreds of fucking people showed up at midnight. I was like, what the fuck? I'm a
It
Jew.
happens,
I like to
man.
save money and enter when it's free. That's
It happens, man. That's the beauty of the world, my friend, isn't it? It's all completely different, in every single place. But no, it's cool. It's cool to see a debate. I think it's cool, man. Like it's cool to find where back in the day it was like, what do I sell a girl? Now it's like investment, this, that, other things. So it's cool that the whole space is evolving, which is nice as well.
Hmm.
I'm happy about that. Even if it's
Yeah.
a few little debates here and there. Debates are good. That's where you get into like the real stuff, man, as well. The real meat and two veg of what this is all about.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. Like my format, all these other coaches are doing videos where they're doing infield or they're saying their advice.
Yep.
I don't really have time for that. And
Sure,
I
yeah.
was never like there could have been a few interesting things filmed that I could have put on if only I had a fucking camera guy with me at those moments.
Exactly.
But I'm not going to dedicate my life to doing that. And now time has changed anyway. I'm a married man, but um, essentially I was like, why don't I bring people together on a panel and just explore everyone's advice? And some
Yeah.
questions will have the same kind of answers, and then it's clear what the answer is if everyone agrees.
Yep.
Some things have disagreements, but they tend to be like very friendly. Today was not so friendly, but we can deal with that. But the
Hey, we like
debates,
to.
I wasn't
Yeah.
really interested in putting debates together originally, but I just gave it a fucking shot in case, and it hit. And crazy opportunities came out of it. From the
Yeah.
first debate alone, before it was even put on YouTube, Dan Bilzerian joined the fucking call, and a bunch of other guys who are like high
Crazy.
profile. They joined the call while it was going on, and it was not live or anything. It was pre-recorded.
Insane.
And those crazy opportunities came from there. But these debates are becoming kind of popular now.
Yeah, man.
Especially,
You find the meat and two veg out of it. You find that little sauce that everyone's after. You know?
yeah. Ross Jeffries versus Mystery, that was a pretty unique one. But
Yep.
they're friendly with each other, of course, so that was more of a friendly one. But Ross loves to prod, for lack of a
Yeah,
better
of course.
word. He likes to get spicy in a few places and push a little more. But yeah, he's very
Gangster.
entertaining. Anyway,
Well,
anything on your mind, anything you want to discuss?
No. I wouldn't say it that much. I think that they covered a lot of it. It's definitely everything we covered, whether it was Instagram. We didn't cover that much social circle stuff or networking or status stuff. And
Well, let's
I
do
definitely
it.
find,
I love social
yeah,
circle things. The thing is, I don't really get the chance to ask it on panels much because
for
it's really
sure.
only
Yeah,
you, me, and Michael Sartain that are actually into it.
we might have to have a social circle panel. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah,
Full on
that
social
has been
circle,
in the
hardcore.
plans. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down. Me and Michael are friends. Definitely something. I think a big thing. Yeah, I just moved. I did a challenge recently at the start of the year. It was called the Social Circle Challenge. So build a social circle in 30 days, and I did it in Los Angeles. And I think the big thing that I noticed, I filmed the whole thing, which was really really cool. So there's a video people can look at for 30 days. I document every single day, which is super cool. And
Mm.
it really comes down to, I very much leveraged a lot of the Instagram, the dating apps. I leverage the thing I call it the yes man theory, which is the understanding of the more things you say yes to, the more opportunities come your way. So you say yes to the lunch, you say yes to hosting something, you say yes to going and playing paddle, you say yes to hosting an event. You will find that your social circle will definitely explode by this theory, which is called the yes man theory, of just saying yes
Oh,
to
I
as many
agree.
opportunities. It's crazy how many opportunities guys get, and they're saying no, 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 no. And as soon as they like
Mm.
change that, it's huge. I don't know how you've done that, but that's one of the things that I was able to film. And for me saying yes, one of them was to fly to Vegas. The other one was fly here, go there, do this. And we had an epic, I think at the end, we have this big party. I won't surprise, if anyone wants to watch the video, but yeah, there's a huge party at the end. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's very interesting. I'm getting the chills fucking thinking about this now because you
Yeah.
say yes, man. There's of course the movie, obviously, but
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me, it wasn't the case of saying yes to things, like of
Hmm.
people asking me of something, but me simply doing things because I wanted to do them
Yep.
and
Gotcha.
never letting other people say you shouldn't do that or whatever. I'm the boss of myself. I'll fucking do whatever I want. So
Yep.
I got all kinds of crazy examples over my lifetime, but you know, it's my mindset at the core. It's simply I do something and I see
Mm.
where it goes. I had no particular plans for my YouTube channel. I was just like, I have an interview with Ross Jeffries. I'll put that on. I got a few other videos back in the RSD days. I
Yep.
just did these fucking things.
Hmm.
I'd simply see how dots could potentially connect.
Yeah.
So I never really aspired to interview people, but um, here's a very simplified version. Someone gave me the book The Game.
Yep.
Um, and he did the same for another guy. The other guy didn't bother reading it. I was like, I don't even read books, but I'll fucking give it a shot. I said
Sure.
yes, essentially. And then
Yeah.
I looked into real social dynamics. That's how I discovered you. That's how I discovered all the guys there. And then I didn't say yes to opportunities, but I looked for them
Yep.
subconsciously. It's just what I do naturally. And I ended up working with I think it was Max first, or
Uh-huh.
yeah, I think it was Max first, and then Luke, and then Ozzy, and then it spiraled
Yep.
out of fucking control from there. But essentially, my first video was probably with Ozzy or something, him doing some kind of seminar. And I
Yep.
was like, I'll just start a YouTube channel or something. It's like the natural thing to
Nice.
do. I'm just collecting information. And one thing led to another, and here the fuck I am. So I just follow my instincts and see where things take me, and I use my own ideas to make other things happen. Like my background here, I get a QR code.
Yeah,
Before this QR
perfect.
code, the QR code leads to an AI wingman. Before the AI wingman, there was a book. Before the book was a Google Docs file. Before the Google
Yeah.
Docs file was just an idea that I had in my mind. I have these ideas and I make them happen. That's just how
That's
my
that's the idea
life
of saying
works.
yes. Yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
you've got given the idea, and now it's you're the vessel from God to be able to make that idea.
I'm a
Yeah,
doer guy. Just give me an
yeah.
idea and I'll fucking do it.
That's good, man. Yeah, that's the initiative that a lot of the guys have to take. One of the rules of my program, we talk about life rewards people that are initiators, that they go after things. You know, they're not the weak-willed or meek-willed. They're meek-willed, not meek-willed. They're guys that go after it. And so if you could do that like you did, man, that's where you got the success, and that's what other guys can take away. Sometimes it's not the most complex of topics. It could be something like that, just initiative. Be the initiator. Be the initiator of the conversation. Be the initiator of the hosting the event, the DM, the Instagram, like all these different things, like you did. Just the idea. Let me not make it amazingly perfect, but let me just start the idea, which is Google Doc and then a book and then this and now
Mm.
you've got your app, and so it's just been a progression. Some people see the end product and they're like, oh man, I want to get that. It's like, well, you gotta go through the iterations first. I want to have the 150 person party. It's like, yeah, well, I've also thrown parties that no one came as well. So it's the
Yeah.
idea that you just got to go through it. You can't hack around the doing the work, really. Like we've all done, like everyone on the panel, I'm sure everyone on the panel is getting an amazing results, and that's the best part of it. And we're all bickering about what idea is best for the student. We all get an amazing results. The students, people just watching should be amazed that, us guys can do it. That we're no real different than them. We might have
Mm.
differences about us, but all they've got to do is just put in the effort and you get it. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, 100%. You touched upon this, but you said the idea of perfection, kind of briefly. Perfection is what stopped me in the
Yep.
first place. And once my friend taught me to let that go, that's when I actually really started to do things.
Correct.
Because like I don't have a perfect background behind me. If I took this away, if I didn't think of these things like years ago, I never would have started. So what
Yep.
stopped me was I don't have a good computer, I don't have a good microphone. But what drives me is I can go fucking get one. I can fix that. I can do like my format because I've been living in isolation for years. I don't have an in-person podcast. What I can do is these Zoom calls. And essentially the advantage is I can reach anyone with internet connection, but it takes away the in-person factor of being, it would be great to have meet these people in person. I haven't
Yeah.
met you in person, but at least I can still reach you, man.
100%. Well, that's the best way. Yeah. Yeah, you're not alone in that ice where it's like a lot of people are finding that they look at the celebrities or the people and they go, oh, look how good they're doing, which is fantastic. What I did that really helped me was I looked back at, like, if you're starting, let's just say a YouTube channel, and you're looking at the biggest celebrities, your KSIs or your, whoever, look back at their very first video, the very first one in YouTube. You
Mm.
can scroll by oldest. That's who you're competing with, not the version of them now, but the old version of them. So I've definitely done that
Ah,
where
interesting.
I've never, because they've done 10 and a half years of work, which is great. But look back, it's your first video. Look back at their first video 10 and a half years ago and see, well, is yours better than that? And you'll be like, yeah, heck yeah, it is. Perfect. Then you're on your way. So that's a big thing that a lot of them can you hear me, brother?
Just switching right on the
Yeah.
battery there.
I have to switch mine as well. Fucking 3 hours, fucking something like that, 3 hours 45, getting it done. Yeah, that's about it with that. We'll definitely have to organize that social circle stuff. I think we can go really far deep in some new
Oh
concepts there
yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
So I made a list a year ago, and I still got it here. Social Circle Game panel. I only got five names: Dan Bilzerian, Justin Mark, Michael Sartain, Sam Matheson, you, and Sterling Cooper. To
Yeah.
make that happen, I know Dan's super fucking busy. and I know what his interests are. But if I can get Justin has been here before, you've been here before, Michael's been here before. If I could get Sterling Cooper, that would make things more interesting. But yeah, I thought before, even just a discussion with just Justin and Michael, that would be interesting enough. But having a full-on social circle game panel would be the most amazing thing because it's such an overlooked form of game and
Yeah.
it just makes things so much more efficient.
Yeah,
So
dynamic.
the,
Especially
the
when you're
way I
doing work.
the,
Like
the
you're
way I thought about it years ago is all these other guys are doing code approaches. They're going 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. What I want to do is do 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 and make that a bigger number over time. And here's another way I see it. Instead of going to a club, meeting a bunch of women, taking one, how about I use Tinder, get a match, use the club because I had backstage access and on stage access and everything. Use the club as a date,
Yep.
take a match from Tinder to the club as a date, and that automatically makes me look like the best guy in the club already because I'm there with a date, and I can then meet more people anyway. So
100%.
that one took me maybe 8 months to not consider, but actually do.
Yep.
But that was a very good way of doing it.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just so much better. And the fact that having access to such things, none of these, I don't remember going to this particular club and seeing some random guy get shouted out by the DJ. But it happened to me when I'm at the top of my game and 1,000 people look up, oh, who's this motherfucking guy? That is that's a great feeling, that's validation and everything. But for me, it's useful to whatever else is happening at that moment. That would be great content. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I didn't have a fucking camera running, but I had a
Yeah.
woman with me that's great for whatever is going on this date, for example.
Free
It's great
selection,
for
great
so
social
many
proof.
other things, connecting the dots in a much more efficient and expansive way.
100%. You couldn't have said it better. That's exactly it. A lot of the time, the guys that are either in business or entrepreneurship, they really understand social circle principles well. They understand the idea of like, when we say social proof and pre-selection, they understand that because they've been in a business. A business got social proof from being on television or a magazine or something like that. It actually improves their likelihood of getting a sale. So a lot of entrepreneurs or business owners really understand these principles very well. And it's almost like you take a mini business degree when you understand social circle because you can understand leverage and understand different things that you do. You do that like you're backstage. That speaks so much wonders for the girl. She's like, "Who the hell am I with? How are we here? How are we backstage? How's he getting shouted out? It's all crazy." So yeah, so I want that podcast would be super good. It should be good to go real far down the rabbit hole and real niched because you can get that's where you're getting well, as I say, it's super niche, but it's when you really get it done, all of the stuff the guys were talking about, it's fantastic, absolutely, but it's not even needed. And that's where it's like, what do you mean it's not even needed? Like, when they're like, oh, is it trying when the girl is like, you want to know what's better than trying or not talking to the friend? It's like a hot girl introducing you to another hot girl. You don't have to do jack shit then.
Yeah.
He's already talked
She
you up.
already has her own female friends. Why not take advantage of that?
Exactly. So it's like you don't even have to like put in the effort like the boys are like you're just like you can stand back practically say nothing and then she's like in awe and in love with you and you're like well so once you have those kind of things it makes everything look just you look at it from a different perspective. It's kind of like taking the pill and your eyes are wide open. You're like wow, this is I can leverage certain things and certain activities and yeah, like me, I went to Colombia and I started making this Taco Tuesday, just something super simple bunch of the boys. But from there, I give an example. I take a story, I tag everybody in the story, they tag it to their stories, and now because I made the story, get all these influx of girls adding me from Medellin, Colombia that I didn't even know of just because I took one story. And it's like I made the event cool, I look good, but I also took the story and. Now you can have a look on your Instagram. It went out to like, 4,500, 5,000 people all up. that's fantastic, because now there's a lot of eyeballs that are in the city that either know a little bit of me or a glimpse of me, and they might meet me. They might have some persuasion, like, oh, you know, this person, that person, like we talked about, the mutual friends. It's a super topic that needs to be discussed, because cold approach, yeah, it does get discussed. I'm not anti cold approach. I'm not like the other guys. I'm not anti. I like every sort of game. I just like, you know what works now? What's working? That's it. I don't care what
Oh,
it
I
is.
understand.
It's what works. That's it.
I like to say play the game that works for you because
Yeah.
some guys are lawyers, got a busy job. They're not going to do a day game, for example. Some guys don't even like going to nightclubs like Ross Jeffries. He's too fucking old now, at least for sure. But if you don't want to do day game, that doesn't mean you're fucking scared of cold approach or anything. Just means,
Exactly.
oh, I prefer night game, message game, social circle game. I believe the most effective form of game possible is the combination of message game and social circle game. And the reason I call it message game as opposed to the T word is texting is an action, but messaging is a marketing strategy. That is the key difference.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's
And
good use
it's
of
a
words.
much better way to think about it because it's not just messaging, but it's your entire virtual presence. And that is such a key thing because some guys don't have much or any of a virtual presence and they rely only on their physical presence. So I had this distinction for years of primary game, secondary game, primary being the physical world and secondary being the virtual world. And if you have no virtual presence, then you're relying only on the other side. And the same is true for the opposite. If you have both, that's the maximal thing you can do. So it's one thing to rely on message game, dating apps, Instagram, Facebook, for example, but it's another thing to combine everything. So for example, if you're like me, night game as well, then you could have some Instagram story from the time you went out at night. And then that is used not only for your message game, but for your social proof. Even if you just go on a date and you take a photo, and the only thing you have from the date is a photo in your phone, then just a picture of the table and there's a pair of female hands with nice looking nails. Well, that's obviously a date, So those, while that's a more subtle one, there are so many other examples of a possible photo you could give, but that's a good way to start with, at least for social circle.
For a lot of guys. Yeah, for sure. The biggest way is I would say like the biggest way to start a social circle is this idea where just go to a couple of places often. That's it. That's the first thing you do. And most guys are doing this. They go into the gym or they go somewhere else. And I'm like, okay, well, who do you know there by name? And they're like, oh, I don't talk to anyone there. And you're like, well, you're already surrounded by people. Or you got the other side where the people are like, oh, I don't leave my house. I'm like, well, leave your fucking house, dude.
No, that's so true. Like here's a minuscule but days old example. I here in Lima, like it's a food city, lots of good restaurants and lots of Japanese food, lots of Chinese food. So I'm like, I miss going to Japan. I want to have lots of Japanese food. So there's this Japanese restaurant nearby. Went to it once, went to it twice. By the third time, the bouncer is greeting me, and the waiter knows me. Even though we haven't spoken much, he knows, oh, he's the guy who likes to sit on this table, for example. And the recognition is there. And it's a pretty quiet place, so it's easy. There aren't many people who go there, but I'm like, does the Yakuza come here or some shit? It's so quiet, and they got a fucking bodyguard outside. And for such a quiet restaurant, something suspicious is going on. But anyway.
Someone yelling back. Yeah, no, 100%. All right, my man. I'll probably have to bounce out now just for 5 minutes before my next call.
Yep. Oh shit. Yeah, that is nearly 4. Fuck, that time flew. Yeah, already. Let's leave it there. Alrighty, perfect. Great
Man.
having you here. Catch you on the other side.
I'll see you soon, guys. Take care.